Hello, guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Gooden. I am joined as ever by my Joshi tag team partner, my Joshi brother in arms, the hot tag of the Stardom Cast. It is indeed Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, my man. I am fantastic. No sense of complaining. The sun is out. It is a cool, cold fall day here in northeastern Pennsylvania. I had to break out the jacket. I think, yeah, I got the Queen's Quest jacket on. Is that? Yeah, that's what I'm rocking.
There
I
you
just grabbed
go.
the I just grabbed the first thing over my bedroom on my way to the podcast room. Buddy, I can't complain. Really can't complain. Little concerned about I'm having dental surgery tomorrow, and I'm not really
Yep.
concerned about that. Like I've never been put under before, but I've been pretty much told that I can't do any physical activity for like 2 days. So I was like, I
Oh,
don't
God.
know. Yes. So my wonderful wife was very adamant. I'm like, you're gonna have to sit on the couch, you're gonna have to watch college football, and you're gonna have to watch a lot of wrestling. And I'm like, I got no problem with that, but probably 2 to 3 days in a row with no workout. So I don't know if that has happened in a long time, but I'm going to go stir crazy. But the exception of that, brother, I cannot complain. How's everything in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, I can't complain at all, to be perfectly honest. Things are going well. Obviously, both of our internet is working. That we were concerned slightly that might not be the case for yourself, as you've fallen afoul of the time honored. We are going to be here between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. and then just not showing up, which I feel like is a rite of passage of any person delivering internet. Everyone has been through that at least once in their life.
Yeah, they were supposed to be last week when I was away at Comic Con, and they showed up and they basically said, "Yeah, the guy yesterday did half his job and walked away." So we'll have to
Amazing.
come back next week. So as we are recording, hopefully this doesn't cut out. I am using the hotspot on my phone because they are about 6 to 7 hours late and still late. My wonderful wife, is still waiting. They're literally wasted her whole entire day. So I'm using the hotspot on my phone. It should stay for the entirety of this episode. Where something happens where I go out, we'll figure that out, buddy. We'll cross that
Yeah.
bridge when we come to it. But again, if the internet people being 6 to 7 hours late and counting is the worst thing to happen to me today, pretty damn good day, buddy. Pretty damn good day.
I mean, you say the 6 to 7 hours late. I mean, technically they're a week late. I mean, let's not beat
True.
around the bush here.
True.
They are a week late, which is quite sensational. If I'm perfectly honest. However, I can improve your mood, even though you are not miserable in any way. I was hoping you
No.
were going to say you were annoyed, just so I could say I can improve your mood, because we know for a fact that Saya Kamitani is going to be at Wrestle Kingdom. We know we are getting potentially not only a Saya Kamitani match, but also a Syuri match at the Tokyo Dome as well, because there is heavy rumblings that Saya is going to be at Wrestle Kingdom, and it's not going to be for Syuri. So that's exciting. That alone, the fact that we are just over 2 months away from our Japanese adventure, it's really beginning to hit home that this is actually happening, which is both terrifying and very, very exciting. But yes, that should be more than enough to get you through your minor gripes with the internet people.
Yeah, again, bad days don't exist, my man. And you look at if I don't have internet for a little bit or they didn't come, like when the sun came up, you know what I mean? Great day at work. I ate some really good food as I always do. And I'm get to chat with you about some three fantastic shows from Stardom.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously last week we recorded early because I was on my way to New York Comic Con.
We
So we
did.
have three giant segments from IYO and Kairi Watch, the biggest IYO and Kairi Watch in the history of the Stardom Cast. Because of course, leave it to us to be like, yeah, let's record on a Monday. There won't be an IYO and Kairi Watch in about an hour and change after we basically ended record IYO. They announced that IYO would be wrestling Kairi for the
Yeah,
first time
standard.
ever in the United States. Like, how did we IYO and Kairi Watch is IYO versus Kairi Watch? And again, obviously that great tag match over at Crown Jewel, which we did get some live reports
Mm.
from one of our listeners. So I
Oh,
we'll get
really?
into that towards the end. Yes, and then
That's cool.
obviously a great match with Kyrie and Rhea Ripley on this past Monday. So three great shows to talk about from Stardom, three great IYO and Kyrie matches to talk about an IYO and Kyrie watch. So again, what do I have to complain about, good sir? You know, and none of that. But look, you're looking dapper as always. And again,
Wow.
If you're looking in the background, if you're watching on YouTube, Darren Chatton's jersey is in the background there, my man.
Absolutely.
The one, yes, the one that he's been begging us for. So
Signed Darren Chatton, Newcastle United. Right there. Don't worry, Darren. It will be moved by the next podcast because the Stardom Cast poster will be going there. But I'll just keep it there just for you,
I
my
love
friend.
it.
But Matt, obviously, you had quite the week last week. You journeyed off to New York Comic Con. Obviously, Lily went. What was it? Her first Comic Con as well?
Her second. Last year was her first.
Yes, I do remember now. As soon as I said it, I was like, no, I think she went last year. But obviously, Andy Hedder as well. Andy Hedder's lovely, lovely other half. And from all the reports you gave me, and they were plentiful and rightly so, it looks like you had a wonderful, wonderful time. Now, you were very restrained on the Marigold Standard last night. Didn't say a word about Comic-Con. Matt, I promised you a platform, buddy. Have at, my friend. Have at. How was New York Comic Con?
It was great as always. And again, this was kind of a more of a low-key New York Comic Con kind of for us. I'll get the non-wrestling stuff out of the way, and then I'll get into all the wrestling stuff with the debacle that was the AEW DC comic book line. Because that was
Oh yes, the line.
yeah,
I forgot about that.
it was 5 lines. We'll get into that. So let's kind of just get into the non-comic book stuff. I did mention last week on the Stardom Cast that the only meet and greet that I had prepaid for was that on Sunday. I think it was 11:30, so the last day. So New York Comic Con is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Sunday around, I think it was 11:30. Myself and Lily we purchased the photo op with Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, better known as Daredevil and Kingpin. So we're about an hour or so before, and Lily's in line for something, and I'm checking my email, and I get a message from New York Comic Con that Vincent D'Onofrio canceled about an hour before we're supposed to go downstairs. I'm okay.
No.
Stuff happens. I get it. I'm not going to get upset. Maybe he got sick. Maybe there's a family emergency. Maybe he couldn't make it in. Maybe a lot of times, because John Barenthal, who plays the Punisher, he was announced. And then 2 days later, they took him off the schedule because he had a scheduling conflict with a movie. So I get it. Things get moved around. No problem. Basically said to head to the photo op section. They'll figure something out. So long story short, went down and said, look, we're refunding everybody. Is there anything else that you want? I said, we really just want a solo picture with Charlie Cox, but everything was sold out. And they said what they did is they added another 20 to 30 photo ops for him to make up for Vincent D'Onofrio not being able to make it. Great. We paid for that. We went in. And again, these photo ops, Rob, as I mentioned to you before, especially at WrestleMania, you're in and out. You're in and out, right?
Really
and I get it. Obviously IYO was phenomenal, literally to the point like, no, you need to be here. Like she was great, but usually, and I get it, it's a business. You want to get as many people in out of line as possible. As you kind of get to the front of the curtain, you see that he's shaking hands with everybody, which again, we live in a post-COVID world. And when you're shaking hands with 100 people at a time, that's awesome. So he literally high-fived Lily, shook my hand. I told him he's doing a great job as Matt Murdock. He said, thank you. We took the picture, boom, and we were out the door. So that was really cool. Again, I fully understand what the experience is. I've done so many of these over the years with the late, great Stan Lee. I did one with Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future. I know you're in and out. So that was really cool. The other really kind of non-comic book related thing, or non-wrestling thing, I kind of want to talk about, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And I think you're going to find this hilarious. So we get there. We're there the day of. We're there. I'm sorry, this was, I think, either Friday or Saturday. Now, my daughter is into a lot of things in pop culture. The one thing that she loves is Sonic the Hedgehog, the video games, the movies, the cartoons, the shows, the comic books. She loves Sonic the Hedgehog. We didn't know until we got there on Thursday that there's going to be a couple of the voice actors from Sonic the Hedgehog, not the movie, but the video game and the cartoon. So she bought a couple of those vinyl pop figures because she likes to get those signed. So we go to where the booth is, and it's the voice of Amy, who's the female Sonic, Silver, Sonic, and Knuckles. So Lily's got all these pops. She's like, I don't have anything for the Sonic guy to sign. And it's the guy from the video game, from the Sega video games back in the 90s, even before she was born. Yeah. So as she's like, where they were signing autographs was right next to all these booths selling Funko Pops. I mean, you can literally trip and you'll fall into somebody selling 100 Funko Pops. It's really easy to get them there. So I was like, well, they obviously have them there. It makes sense because it's like, hey, if you don't have anything to sign, come here. We'll sell you one, right? Easy, smart business plan.
Good business, yeah.
So as I'm standing there and I'm kind of just holding Lily's spot in line, the guy that is the handler for all four of these voice actors, by handler I mean he basically takes your money, he tells you how much they owe, what do you want signed, yada yada yada, to make things easier. He looks at me and he goes, "Hey buddy," he's like, "that's a really nice shirt." Look down and I'm wearing a catch wrestling shirt. I notice he's wearing a jiu-jitsu shirt. So I was like, okay, this will be fun. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to get into catch wrestling. So we're just talking about like grappling and this and this. And got to know him really well. And then he's just like, where do you train out of? And I was like, well, I only train every now and again, but I train out of the Snake Pit, USA in New Jersey. And there's only 3 legit snake pits in the world: New Jersey, Wigan, up by you, and Tokyo. So those are the
Always
only.
makes me laugh, Wigan. Always
Yeah,
makes me laugh.
I remember like a couple years ago, I was like, hey, I think I might go to Wigan in a year. He's like, why do you want to go to Wigan? I
I
said,
was just
train at
gonna
the
say, of
Snake
all the
Pit. Like,
places in the UK, like Wigan, just no disrespect to anyone from Wigan at all, but it's like a really unassuming city, like nothing. I don't even know if it is a city. It might be a town. I don't know.
but now, so let me back up a second. So the girl that does the voice for Amy, they said that she's running an hour or two late. And I said, Lil, we're already here. We have nothing. This was Saturday. We have really nothing to do. Why don't you get your autographs and everybody else? We'll go downstairs. We'll look at something, then we'll come back up. Like, we're already here waiting in line. You may as well get it done. So as we're talking about grappling and jiu-jitsu and everything, all of a sudden the other the guy goes, well, I'm from Texas. You're training at the Snake Pit, New Jersey. And I told him, I said, they do quarterly camps where it's an all weekend camp. You definitely need to check it out. So it's like, well, we should like link up and hook up and like grapple sometime. He's like, what's your social media contact? Rob Goodwin, you know what I did? I took out that doc card. I doc carded this guy and pretty much the entire voice cast of Sonic the Hedgehog.
The
Sure did.
hustle. The hustle never stops. You never
Sure.
cease to amaze me.
You don't ask Matt Turner for your social media stuff. And I'm not going to pull out this doc card. People like, oh my God. So I doc carded the guy first, right? And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden the Sonic actor and the silver actor, like, what is that? I'm like, we need to get this. We need to get this. We need to get this. Literally the point, I can tell you how many people are like, do you work for Doc Card? I'm like, no, like you should. How is Doc Card not sponsoring the Stardom Cast? Looking right at the camera, Doc Card, you need to get a hold of us because
Absolutely.
we've been making you guys a lot of money this year. So Doc Carded the basically the entire voice cast of Sonic the Hedgehog. So as Lily's in line getting these things signed, one of the voice actors asked the handler guy, the jiu-jitsu guy, hey, can you go get me a bottle of water? As he goes to leave, he walks past me and he's like, hey, you know what move I like to do? When he goes to underhook me. And he's like, that's what I like to do. I said, well, here's what I would do. I would step in, block you here. And the next thing I know, I have this guy in an armbar. I can show him I can choke him. I can show him how I can put his head down. Literally just like, I'm like literally just grappling with this guy. And he's like, I would do this, and literally all the voice actors just stop. And they're watching how like this can go to an armbar, this can go to wrist lock, I can go into a choke, or I can take you down, which obviously I'm not going to do because there's 1,000 people here on the floor. And he's like, yeah, I definitely need to train catch. So as we're leaving, I was like, man, I hope this guy doesn't sue me because I just put him in like 4 or 5 different holds
in front of his work colleagues.
Yeah, they were all just astounded. Like, wow, this is awesome. We definitely got to get a hold of this guy. So about an hour or two later, we go up, and then Lily goes to meet the voice actor for Amy, who's the female hedgehog, and the guy's there. He's got his little teleprompter thing, swiping all the cards. And he looks at me. I go, hey, it's in the last 2 hours. Did you leg lock anybody by chance? He's like, no. He's like, but I definitely have to ask you questions about how to transition from the collar and elbow tie up into the rear naked choke. So I just thought that was really cool. Obviously, the most important thing is Lily got all this stuff signed. And not only did they sign it on the front of the box, they did little doodles on the side, and didn't charge her anything extra. So that was really, really cool.
That's
so
cool, yeah.
A lot of really cool. Obviously, the main important thing was that Lily got all that stuff signed. She was happy. Obviously, a double bonus was I was doing an impromptu knee armbar segment with the cast of Sonic the Hedgehog. And then I doc carded everybody.
Of course.
So let's get into the wrestling stuff, Rob Goodwin. Let's get into the wrestling stuff.
Yeah, that's the non-wrestling stuff. Jeez.
Let's get into the wrestling stuff. So the wrestling stuff, I'm not kind of try to shoot through everything as quick as I can, but I still want to be able to get out, some really great content here.
Of course, yeah.
So Thursday was the only date Shotzi Blackheart was going to be there. I wanted to meet her and I wanted to try to get her on the show. So I text Allison Danger maybe about an hour or two before the meet and greet. I said, hey, I'm at Comic-Con. I'm going to meet Shotzi Blackheart. I know that she worked for you in Shimmer, or she worked Shimmer. Was it when you were there? And she's like, yeah, tell her I said hello. Tell her that, she should do the show. It's like, okay. So I walked up. I said, Allison Danger said hello. I said, I do a podcast, and she gave me her email address, something that, obviously I'm working on behind the scenes. Hopefully we can get her on the show sometime. Absolute sweetheart of a person. And then she basically said that Allison will be upset with her because she doesn't wear her seatbelt. So as soon as the photo was done, I was like, I gotta find out what this is. So I sent Allison a message. I said, what's this thing with Shotzi and the seatbelt? She goes, we literally made up a song that in the Shimmer locker room that how Shotzi doesn't wear her seatbelt. So there's a song out there. So I said, Allison, I said, Allison, obviously I want to get her on the show. I said, she gave me her email address. I said, do I need to put this in the email address? She's like, yes. And I'm texting her right now. So I was like, okay. So yeah, so
Wow.
she didn't respond back because either one, she was busy, or two, she's like, this whole entire podcast is going to be about me not wearing my seatbelt when I was working
It
for
is.
Shiver.
It is. That's literally
So
going to be the only thing we ask her about.
so as after I got done meeting Shotzi, I bumped into my buddy Chris Wayne. Chris is, in my opinion, maybe I'm just saying this because he's a good friend of mine, the best wrestling cosplayer I've ever seen. So he went as the first day he went as Jeff Hardy. I think I sent you that
I know
picture.
who you mean
Yes.
now. Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yes. And he just got done meeting Matt Hardy at the Pro Wrestling Tees booth. And I guess Matt Hardy called Jeff to tell him, like, you need to see this. Jeff didn't answer his phone. He took a picture and sent it to Jeff. I'm like, dude, that's so awesome. Like,
That's
good for
awesome,
you.
man.
The next day, he went as 1990 Shawn Michaels, like
I've
WrestleMania 8.
seen someone went to Sensational Sherry as well, and she was following him round.
Now, I think it was 2 years ago at Comic-Con, he did that Shawn Michaels. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. When you think of Shawn Michaels, you're either doing DX or like 96, 97, 98 Shawn
Yeah,
Michaels. Like, you're not doing as soon as he turned heel. So I was like, dude, where'd you get the Sherry? And he's like, I just put something out there. And then we kind of were going back and forth. I was like, wow. I said, you're shit. And that Sherry, if you watch WrestleMania 8, it's the opening match, Shawn and Tito, great match.
yep,
That is literally, and they had the mirror, the whole nine. They did a fantastic job. So he said, I've
great.
been searching for a Sherry for a long, long time. Now, Rob Goodwin, I got to get into maybe my second or third favorite part of this entire Comic Con. So it was Saturday, and I was exhausted. I was getting ready to leave. And I asked Andy Header, I said, hey, what's Chris going as today? Because I want to get a hold of him because I want to get a picture with him every day as cosplay. He goes, oh, today he went as Chelsea Green. I was like, get out of here.
Oh yeah, you showed me this.
So I sent him a message and I said, hey man, I said, can we meet in an hour? I said, I know what you're going as. I said, or what you're dressed up as. I said, gotta get a picture. Because Chelsea Green, the most gifable Stardom gif of all time, was the
Oh,
EO,
absolutely,
the
that
EO
drop
plant.
kick.
Yeah, that and the fact that when she wrestled Kairi for the white belt in Cork and Hall, I remember Rossio Gal was just looking at her
Yeah,
like a
she was
disappointed about
dressed
it.
as Harley Quinn.
Yeah. So
The disappointment on his face.
So I was like, dude, I don't know what version of Chelsea. I don't think he's going as Stardom Chelsea Green. Now, obviously, Chelsea Green is doing
No.
some great work, but especially the last year or two. So he's like, yeah, he's like, just meet me by the escalators by Artist Alley. He walks up and have you seen the picture? I mean, it is
I have.
wow. So I was like, dude, that is so good. I said, you got to go to Matt. Now, Matt Cardone and Brian Myers, they had the big rubber wrestling guys, and they had their entire booth there, which is awesome. They never had that before. That's awesome for them. And they were there consistently. I was like, dude, you got to go to Macro. He's like, I already did. And he showed me the video. The video went viral, literally the point where basically what had happened. And if you go on, it's Chris Wayne WWE, or I think it's at Master Wayne on Twitter. If you just follow any one of the social medias. So what had happened was he takes his phone, he walks, he sees that Matt's there doing business, Matt Cardona, obviously the husband of Chelsea Green, who he's cosplaying as. So as he walks up to the booth, he goes, now keep in mind, WWE was in Australia for Crown Jewel. So he's like, he goes, hey, Matt, I just want to let you know I came back early from Australia to see you. And as he turns around, he's like, oh, my God, literally takes his phone. He starts videotaping it on his phone. And then Brian Myers starts videotaping it. Now, I only saw his version of it because at first, and then what happened is they wind up almost like doing like a simulcast where you see everybody's different versions. And he's just like going, oh, my God, this is so good. And then Brian Myers is like, that's your wife. You have to kiss her now. You have to kiss her. To Cardona. What had happened was Chris wind up telling me that Matt wind up after all the cameras went down, like it was just on the phone. It was a quick thing. It went viral and good for Chris because he's the man.
Good for Chris, yeah. He puts in a lot of effort. He always looks sensational.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, humble guy, great father, great husband. Literally, like that guy you want to root for. So, and we're probably gonna have him. We're probably gonna have him on the podcast soon. just to talk
Oh,
about his
great.
love for wrestling. Because he's a great guy. So what had happened was after everybody wound up stopping recording, he FaceTimed Chelsea Green. Now, unlike Jeff Hardy, Chelsea picked up and she was on the treadmill in Australia. And she was like, "What are you doing at the treadmill?" He goes, "I thought you were here in New York." She's like, "Matt, what are you talking about?" And boom, there was just like, oh my God. Absolutely crushed. Then Sunday, we left early on Sunday. He went as Jimmy Uso or Jay Uso, which he's done before. But yeah, he did such a great job in the fact that like he's gotten so many more followers and so much more love because of. So man, really, really good on him. Really good on him. I'm
Yeah.
going to get the one negative wrestling thing out of the way. So what they usually do on New York Comic Con is they do a lot of exclusives. New York, you can only get this at New York Comic Con. The thing is, you have to go to a certain booth literally first thing in the morning. So we knew about a week before we left for New York that at 10 o'clock, which is when New York opens, the New York Comic Con opens at the Javits Center, you have to go up to get the exclusive AEW DC comic book and to get it, and then you have it signed later on the day. You got to go and get a wristband. Okay, no problem. We get there, we're on the top floor, no problem. We get to the DC booth. There's got to be 300 people in line. The only problem is, Rob, it's not a line. It looks like it's like a mosh pit. It looks like
Oh
Slayer's
no.
ready to come out. So I was like, is this the DC AEW line? And they're like, no, this is the booth for Jim Lee autographs. I'm like, okay, where's the, so then I go to another line. No, this is for the Scott William autograph. Then I would go another line. No, this is for DC Lego Batman. And then there's another line for the exclusive Absolute Batman silver cover. I'm like, where is the line for AWDC? Long story short, there was 5 lines in this place that's maybe
Standing.
about 50 yards and there's only one guy that's got a sign that says Lego Batman. So I'm like, okay, that guy clearly is Lego Batman, but where's everybody else? So I'm like, didn't anybody realize you have 5 lines going at once? And once the wristbands are gone, they're gone. If you don't get one, you're SOL. You're out of luck. So it's like, didn't anybody realize that like you have 5 lines at once and nobody, with the exception of Lego Batman guy, has any idea where anybody needs to be? So Rob, long story short, if you were the third person in line, what had happened was, okay, no, I'm sorry, the line is now this way. So you went from third to 50th. And then they're like, oh, AWDC, no, I'm sorry, it's over this way. So now if you're 50th, maybe you might be 15th. And then 15 minutes later, they're like, oh, wait, no, we need to switch the line now over here. So now you're 15th to 70th. It didn't matter how early you got there, where you're in line. They kept flipping the line. Everybody in the DC AEW line was beyond pissed off except for one guy. Rob. And I got
Who
you
could
know,
that have been, Matt? Who
and
could that little
I
ray of positivity been?
I found it so entertaining. I just found it so darn entertaining because I was just like, what are you gonna do? Right? What are you? People were so mad, and I was like clapping, like, here we go, we're swapping the line again. Let's get going. So I just thought, like, so sure enough, we waited for 45 to 50 minutes, and then they're like, yep, all wristbands are all sold out. And I thought there was gonna be a near riot. I'm like, all right. So I looked at Lily, who, God bless her, she was getting a badge for Andy Header, and she just kept telling people that were getting upset, yeah, I'm not really here for this. I'm just getting a badge for my dad's friend. And I was like, you're going to get beat up. I said, kiddo, honest to a fault, the sweetest kid. I love her so much. I was like, Lily, well, I'm not lying. I'm like, I know. So literally it was just like, all right, we waited about 45, 50 minutes, whatever, And Lily's like, we wasted almost an hour. It's like, not really. Your dad had a really good time in said line. So
You are the only man in the world, Matt Turner, who can have as much fun at a panel as in the line for a panel. Like, honestly, blows my mind.
So let's get into our meet and greets. So obviously, Rob, you knew about one meet and greet I did because you got a video sent to you.
I did. I did indeed.
So I go to Pro Wrestling Tees to go meet one Harley Cameron, and the person in front of me, as he gets done taking the pictures, and I've had a bunch of people that have done meet and greets with her before, and they're like, she's the nicest, sweetest person. Always great to hear. You love hearing that. Taking time with the fans, you can just tell she's really, really nice. The person in front of her said, listen, I have a friend of mine. He was supposed to come. He got sick. Is there any way you can sign something to him? She's just like, let's make a video and send it to him. And I was like, I already know what I'm going to ask her. I already know what I'm going to ask her. So they do she does the video, quick video, sends it off to her friend. I was like, wow, she didn't have to do that, but that was really,
Oh,
really
that's
nice.
cool.
So I get up there, and of course I have to have my usual question. So I said, Obviously, you had guys, AEW has a working relationship with Stardom. So, is there anybody from Stardom that you would like to wrestle or team with? And she did say how much she loves wrestling and or teaming with Mina. Loves Mina. Everybody loves Mina. And then she did tell me that her fifth match ever was against Xena. So I was like, how about that? And
There you go.
I said, hey, can you give us a little 411 on when she might be coming back? And she's like, no, I only talk to her every now and again. I said, because I know she's been out with a knee injury. I said, yeah, it's been over a year, because I think it was right after the 5-star. So I think
I think it was just before the tag league. I think it's coming up to pretty much exactly a year.
Yeah, so I said she's been out about a year. She's like, no, like, if I ever see her or talk to her, if I see her on social media, I drop her a line. I said, no, I understand how wrestling works. And then she did say that if she ever did anything in Stardom, she would like to work for EXV, and she would like to team with Micah. So I was like, oh, there's the thing. So we took the picture, and then I said, hey, my buddy Rob, he's in England. He can't be here. I was like, can we do it? She's like, absolutely. Now, we actually did a blooper, and I didn't send you the blooper because what had happened was I was going to do the intro. So as soon as I hit record, I said, hey, Rob. And then she said it at the same time, and we both popped. We both popped. I thought it was really funny. I said, can we do it again? She's like, yes, absolutely. She's like, so you're going to start? I was like, yes, ma'am. She's like, okay. So there's a blooper video that I'll send you later that was really, really funny, because we both started talking at the same time. And as soon as we did, we popped each other, which I thought was really good. Again, A+, sweetheart of a person, really, really great person. That moves us over to my next meet and greet, which is with Willow Nightingale. Obviously, me and you did meet her earlier this year at WrestleCon over in Las Vegas at WrestleMania weekend. But I had some important questions, Rob Goen, that I needed to answer, that only she can answer. So I asked her, I said, Willow, I said, I do a Joshi podcast to talk about Stardom, Marigold, Sendai Girls, obviously, Tokyo Joshi Pro, and of course, Stardom as well. I was like, there's some answers that people need to know that only you can answer. I was like, you've obviously wrestled Tam, and you spent some time in Tokyo Joshi Pro, and I know you wrestled Miyu Watanabe. I said, who is the cutest in the world? Is it Tam? Is it Maki Ito? Or is it Miyu Watanabe? Now I said, there's no wrong answer. Now, of course, Rob, I was definitely steering her to try to say Tam. I was definitely throwing some middle hints. She even said, well, I think it might be Maki Ito, because isn't that Maki Ito's thing? Isn't she really the cutest in the world? I said, true. But Tam is the cutest of the cosmos, which is even bigger than the world. She goes, well, I think you, and Maki Ito, and you need to figure this out, and that's the way we get Tam out of retirement. So,
there you
yes,
go. A plan has been formed.
Yes, that's and they said maybe we'll form a faction. Can you imagine a faction of Tam, Maki Ito, Willow Nightingale, and Miyu Watanabe?
Unstoppable. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Miyu Watanabe wrestle Tam, but there we are.
So, next question was, I said, obviously Tam is the singer of a supergroup now known as Meltier. How dare you, Rap Goodwin? I'm trying to tell a story here. I'm over here getting a scoop for the Stardom Cast, and you're laughing at me. This is I don't appreciate this right now. Anyway, let me get back on this. So I said, and obviously Miyu Watanabe is the lead singer for Up Girls. So I said, who is the better singer? And she did say she did see Miyu Watanabe like basically practicing her song before. I said Miyu Watanabe is the better singer than Tam. And I was like, oh.
I mean, to be fair, I could have told you that, mate.
Wow, but the fact that it came from a girl that was on the cover of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, that's what I had signed. And then she said that was surreal. So I go to probably, outside of my daughter, just how excited she was for everything with New York Comic Con. Probably my favorite part of New York Comic Con, my meet and greet with Orange Cassidy. And for longtime listeners of this show, I broke in with Orange Cassidy 20 years ago. We've been on so many shows together. I've wrestled him so many different times, even when he was under his old alias. So I wasn't sure, and I haven't seen him in like 5-6 years since AEW was a thing. I think I remember they mentioned like they were signing people the first quarter of that year, 6 years ago. Heather and I were on a show with him about a month or two before AEW broke. Obviously, just like the greatest guy, down to earth, super funny, just a really cool dude. I'm like, I don't know if he's going to remember me. And I'm not that type of person to be like, hey, remember when we wrestled in a warehouse in front of 40 people? Like, I know you've wrestled Kenny Omega, and you've wrestled for, in Wembley, and you wrestled Will Ospreay. So I'm not that vague. So I wasn't sure if he was going to remember me, but I was in line, and then we kind of, he kind of looked up and he kind of saw me, and I was like, okay, like he knows it's me. So I'm not going to get into the specifics of the conversation because the conversation we had was kind of a very private and conversation. But the fact he was just like, hey man, how's everything going? What's going on? I heard the podcast is doing really well. Like just the fact that he remembered and just remembered certain things, I thought that was awesome considering that everything he's done over the last 6 or 7 years is really next
Sure.
level. So there was the DCAW panel, not the booth, but the panel that was going on. It was about to start in about an hour. So I said, hey man, are you at the, after we took a picture and we chatted for a little bit, I said, you doing the panel? I said, yeah. I said, all right. So me and my daughter, we're gonna head up there now because it's basically first come, first serve. If you don't get there, you don't get a seat. You don't get a seat. So I leave. I go to Lily's like 20 feet behind me. So I go to get her, make sure she's okay. And as we're walking by, and I was like, hey, Orange, do you, I don't know if you remember Lily. And he's just like, what happened? She's not a baby anymore. And I'm like, that's what happened. He goes, I haven't seen her in like, it's got to be 16 years. I said, yeah, it's been a minute. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I remember when she was like this big. I said, that's what happened. So it's really cool, obviously, to chat, to play catch up with him. The fact that he's had all the success. And that's one thing that's definitely earned, not given from him. And he's still like just the coolest, most down to earth guy. And the fact that he remembered me and he remembered Lily, I thought that was really cool. And then the DCAW panel was really, really fun. I know usually at these panels, I've only gotten to a couple of them that you can kind of sneak questions in. So I walked into the room and I kind of scouted where everything was going to be. And I had the perfect seat to try to get a question in, which was going to be, hey, Tony Khan, because Tony Khan was on the panel. You're doing a tag division. You have a working relationship with Stardom. Is there any chance that we see an FWC, a sorority report, or the fact that we have Shiri and Hikaru Shida, one AEW talent and one Stardom talent? Do they possibly tag because they tagged in a show a couple weeks ago? So I already had it ready to go. I had everything well scouted, knew I was going to be. So the panel was supposed to go about an hour. About 40 minutes in, Darby Allin out of nowhere comes in, basically tells John Moxley that he's not going to quit. They do a brawl, and then that's it. Kayfabe. The panel is over. The panel is over. So that was that. Finally got to meet Alex, who's known out as Queen of the Ring. I know we're kind of
Love
on
Alex.
yeah. I know we're kind of in like similar circles. I know that like whenever AEW was doing their residency at the ECW arena, people kept tagging me and her in things and were like, hey, you need to be on her show. Queen of the Ring, you need to come on the Stardom Cast. You guys need to do a collaboration. So as I was on my phone watching the IYO tag match, IYO Rhea versus the Kabuki Warriors, she just came walking by and I was like, hey, Queen of the Ring. She's like, oh my God, Matt Turner, how are you? We exchanged pleasantries. We talked a little bit. Hopefully we'll do something where she comes on the show. Hopefully we'll do something where we go on her show. She was super awesome. So I was like, this is what people keep asking. I didn't know she was going to be there, but I guess she did a video and put it all over her social media. And then people kept tagging me like, I think Matt Turner's at New York Comic Con. I think Matt Turner's at New York Comic Con. I was like, so we were kind of going back and forth on each other's Instagram. Like, yeah, I'll be there all 4 days. Let's see if we can try to meet up or something. I literally just almost bumped into her. So that was really cool meeting her. Absolute sweetheart of a person. So hopefully somewhere down the line that we'll be doing something with them. But all in all, my friend, Comic-Con was great. It was the easiest trip I've ever had going to New York. The traffic, you're always going to hit traffic. It was nowhere near as bad as it usually is. We're getting really, really great stuff. The most important thing was Lily had a great time. And again, all the AEW wrestlers were just absolutely top notch. And a lot of irons in the fire for hopefully some really potential, really great content on the Stardom Cast, brother.
Well, there you go. I'm glad you had a really good time, my friend. I know that Alex, the Church of Joshi that she used to do was tremendous. I haven't managed to catch. Go on.
She did say, I was going to write this down because I didn't want to forget. So she did. I handed Lily my phone because she was right there. I said, hey, Lily, can you take these pictures? So she says on the Church of Joshi, we're always putting you guys over, that you're smart, you're knowledgeable. Rob's really good with the stats, the way that you break down matches for a cycle. She kept saying all this really nice stuff, right? And my daughter doesn't think that I'm funny at all. And she goes, you guys are smart. And I go, and funny. And I kept whispering, and the way that you break down matches. And I said, and we're funny. And Rob with the stats, and funny. And the fact that you guys work really well together. And I said, and we're funny. She goes, of course you guys are funny. And I told Lily, who was like 2 feet away, I said, see, I told you I'm funny. And Lily's gone, no, he's not funny.
I mean, you broke me with that Meltier being a supergroup. So clearly, mate, you have a posh on for
How
comedy.
dare you?
I'm glad you had a good time, man. And I said to you when you messaged me saying that you'd obviously caught up with Orange, like, you very rarely get to meet these people again, and stuff like that. I'm just glad that you were able to have a conversation, that he remembered you, and you were able to have a proper conversation. It warms my heart, Mr. Turner. So yeah.
And I also got this done.
Oh yes, I
I
forgot you got that done.
I just was looking at, yes, Agnes Garbosa, who is an artist, been on My Little Pony for years and years and years, and now does some of the comic stuff. She always does watercolor commissions. And when we were leaving last year, I was like, does she just do characters? And she got our to the the person that basically kind of, it's like the handler of her booth. She says, if you have a picture, as long as you can Google it or it's on your phone, she would take a picture of said picture and she will do it. So I was like walking by your booth and I was like, can you do this? And like, yes, I can absolutely do this. And then she was asking me all sorts of questions. She's like, what is this? What are these belts? What are these crowns?
What is this?
So again, folks, if you're watching on YouTube, it is a cartoon of Meltier back when they were the Goddess of Stardom champions. And I remember I texted you,
Meltier, super group,
super group Meltier, because I text you and I said, wait till you see what I'm getting done. Like if it's nothing done by Megaton, you're gonna be disappointed. I'm like, oh, it's even better. And I set the stakes high. You're like, dude, that is fantastic. Yeah. So Agnes did this fantastic commission of Tam Nakano, the lead singer of supergroup Meltier, and one not support.
Titans of the music industry, Meltier.
like David Bowie.
Absolutely. David Bowie's got nothing on Meltier's 3-track EP or whatever it was. Don't tell me it was not 6. Whoever is going to come at me and say it was 6. No, it was not.
3.
It was 3. It was 3 songs.
It was Meltier. It was Flowing, Tear Tales, and Double Frontier.
I don't want to remember what the songs are, Matt. Don't do this to me. Anyway, I think we should pivot slightly towards Stardom, seeing as, we're already over half an hour into the podcast now, and we haven't spoken at all about Stardom. But, Matt Turner, there's only one place to start, and that is, of course, our Patreon, the Stardom Cast Extra. Please, good sir, tell us what is coming up on the Patreon this week.
This week, our alternate commentary that I released was Azumi versus Starlight Kid just about a month and change ago from the 5-star Grand Prix. So that was the alternate commentary. And also I did tag team breakdown, the Goddess of Stardom tag league match between Aphrodite, Utami Hayashishita, and Saya Kamitani versus FWC, Hazuki and Koguma. So those are the 2 things that were on your feed this week. And then next week, I believe the alternate commentary that I'm going to do, just because it's timely, is I'm going to do Momo Watanabe versus Saya Kamitani for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. Obviously, they have the big red belt match coming up in about 2 weeks' time. So that is more than likely going to be on the feed on Monday. And again, folks, I apologize for the lack of content that's on there. Again, I was away at New York Comic Con this past week. And then again, Friday, or tomorrow as we're recording, I'm having dental surgery. So I'm not sure how much I can do. I'm going to try. I think before I go in for surgery, I think I'm going to record an alternate commentary because I'm insane. So,
dude, just chill. You are literally having your mouth taken off.
That's
why
I gotta get done before. So I'm gonna try to get, again, but just between that and this, I'm trying to get as much stuff as possible. I know I do want to do a Soriano Wonder of Stardom Championship reign. So maybe I'll get the homework done, since I won't be able to talk for a day or two. So so that the Soriano Wonder of Stardom Championship run probably will be on your feed at the end of this month or beginning of next month. So yeah, that's everything that's on there. And again, folks, if you're just like, Matt, where's the lack of content? Just go through the vault. There's a ton of stuff there to keep you busy.
Yeah, literally hundreds and hundreds of hours of bonus content over at patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. Just a couple of reminders as well. So as we record this, it's the 16th. Marigold Standard dropped earlier today. I apologize for the delay. We finished recording late, and I'll be perfectly honest, I needed to go to bed. So I set it to upload, and the upload corrupted. So I had to do it again when I got in from work. So that's why it was a bit later today. I apologize for that. We have got an interview with La Leona Alejandra Quintanilla coming up on Sunday. Really fun interview. She's an absolute sweetheart. Talks about all sorts of things and the great stuff that she is doing. The first El Salvadorian to be on AEW, to be on WWE programming, to wrestle in Arena Mexico, or at least the first El Salvadorian woman, I think perhaps ever person to wrestle in Arena Mexico. Incredible story. So really looking forward to releasing that interview to the world ahead of her match at Who Runs the World against Nikki Blackheart. Obviously, Grand Destiny is coming up from the world of Marigold. We will be doing a live review of that show. I will put something on Twitter just to remind everyone, but we will be doing it on Monday at 9 p.m. British Standard Time. So make sure, set your calendars, set your clocks, set your alarms, ladies and gentlemen, because we will be doing that 9 p.m. British Standard Time, which I believe is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I can do maths. Also, just a little bit of a hint, we have probably the biggest interview of our careers, our Stardom Cast and Marigold Standard careers potentially happening
For now.
for
buddy.
now. Yeah, absolutely. So we've got something really, really cool cooking. And hopefully the idea is to release it in the run up to Grand Destiny. So fingers crossed that happens. But again, we will keep you updated. Matt, let's move into a little bit of news. And of course, as is always the way, the moment we start recording, news drops. So as we finished recording the Stardom Cast last week, it was announced that Sari would be defending the IWGP Women's Championship against Syuri at King of Pro Wrestling 2025 in Ryogoku Kokugikan on the 13th of October. Sari had previously had a fantastic match with Alex Windsor on Ring of Honor television. If you haven't gone to check that out, they've put it up on Stardom World. It's also up for free on YouTube as well. So absolutely go out of your way to see that match. Fantastic. Obviously, this match came pretty much out of nowhere. The announcement, like a couple of days prior to the show, this was added to the card. And Syuri regained the championship from Sari, ending her reign at 114 days. Opened the card just over 14 minutes, and these two women beat the ever-loving Jimmy out of each other, which is what we knew they would do. Chris Charlton and Walker Stewart on commentary doing a fantastic job, as they always do. The reaction to that headbutt, and Matt, you know the one that I'm talking about, the one that made everyone in the arena go, oh my God. Not sure that was necessary, but even so, it really did just emphasize how hard these two women were hitting each other, because they were really, really hitting each other. I did see someone on Twitter actually point out that the most Inoki person on this entire card was actually Sari. So, in terms of the match anyway. Great to see Syuri, first two-time IWGP Women's Championship, arguably a belt she shouldn't really have lost. At least that's a hot take, my opinion. That's nothing against Sari and certainly nothing against her reign, because again, I think Sari's fantastic. This was rushed. This was massively, massively rushed. This feud, considering that Syuri used this as a catalyst to take some time off, talking about how much losing the belt had meant to her, the fact that Sari had said, you know what? No, I'm not defending against you. I need to go overseas and defend it there first. There was a real build to be had here, and I think that this was certainly should have been at Dream Queendom. There are certainly people I know that on social media have put this down to poor ticket sales for King of Pro Wrestling. And they added this at the end, at the 11th hour to try and boost ticket sales. I don't know how true that is, obviously, but this match was tremendous. This match was fantastic. However, I feel for the story they were trying to tell, the long-term story they were trying to tell, they deserved a bigger build than this. Again, it seemed like we were getting long build, long build, long build, long build. Right, it's happened. And we didn't really have chance to acclimatize. I think Sari's reign deserved a little bit more than that, though I am really happy for her that she managed to wrestle on a New Japan show, considering the inspiration that Antonio Inoki's had on her career. That's great. However, as I mentioned, I just feel like this could have waited. It didn't need to happen on this show. I mean, this show was already heavily stacked. But again, obviously we're not bookers, so there we are. But I must admit, I was a little disappointed that it was just thrown on almost as an afterthought.
It's kind of funny because for like the better part of 2 months, we kept saying they're gonna do the last match. Sherry's gonna get the belt back. It's gonna happen in Sumo Hall at Dream Queendom. We've been saying that, and it's just like that's the way it needs to go. Give Sari the big longer run. Obviously, great match with Konami, great match with Alex Winter. That the Suzuki match was phenomenal as
Suzu
well.
Suzuki was great.
So good. So now you having Sherry, you're gonna chase Sari. So we kind of figured that was the way that was gonna go. Sherry's injured, gonna take time off. So now you kind of understand why they did the belt change at the conversion, have Sherry do the chase, and then get the belt back at Sumo Hall. It was kind of funny because this match, you're right, I think it was like 3 days notice. So I was just like, this is Monday. I always take the Monday after Comic-Con off because I usually get home sometime on Sunday, and I take that Monday to kind of recharge a little bit. So I was like, well, I'm getting up early because there's no way I'm not watching this match live. I need to watch this match live. I'm glad it was on first. No disrespect to Keston and Zack Sabre Jr., which I didn't get to see that match, but I heard it was fantastic. So I was like, okay, so I will get up and watch said match. And of course, the match was great. 4.5 stars for me. I'll just tell you right now, I thought it was great. I thought it was terrific. I thought the other two matches were better because I think
I was just going to say, I think it was the weaker of the three matches that they've had. But as I've said before, that's like me saying, yeah, you're the third poorest billionaire. Like, still a fantastic match, but, compared to the other two, I think the other two were very, very, very good.
Yeah, I think what Sherry and Sari are able to do is they're able to tell when a longer time, if they have a longer time, they can tell a better story, which is just going to show you how great these two are. Because sometimes if you can't, sometimes the longer the matches go, sometimes the match can kind of fall apart, which goes to show you how great these wrestlers are. Shocked it got close to 15 minutes when they said it was on first. I'm like, it'll probably go 8 to 9, but it's gonna be 8 to 9 of just these two people just beating the crap out of each other. But again, 4.5 stars, still a really, really great match. But I was like, oh. So I kind of figured Sherry's going to win here. So it was kind of funny. So the match ends, again, great match. I go to do some more homework for the Marigold Standard and the Stardom Cast again, because I was away, I was behind on some shows. A couple hours later, I take Lily back home, which is an hour drive each way. So I was in the car 2 hours, and I was listening to the Stardom Cast from the week before, and we kept saying they're going to do Sherry versus Sari at Sumo Hall. I'm like, we were right. They did in Sumo Hall, just not at Dream. So I guess we were
2 out of 3 ain't bad, mate. In the words of Meatloaf, 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
By the way, Meatloaf's daughter actually married Scott Ian from Anthrax. Little metal note.
Really?
Yeah, how crazy
what
is
a
that?
tidbit.
Look at that.
A little fact there.
Who would have thought we were talking about Anthrax during a Sherry versus Sari segment, which I know Andy Header right now is pumping his fist because Anthrax is his favorite band. But yeah, again, I was like, okay, this is when we're getting it. I'm glad it was on first. Again, terrific match. Like I said, 4.5 stars. It was almost a condensed version of their other two matches. But I thought the conversion match was probably their best. The Sarism show was probably number 2, and this was number 3. So kind of, and again, Rob, I want to get your take. Why do you think this was rushed? Do you think that maybe Sari, they're going to do her and Saya Kamitani at Sumo Hall? Do you think that maybe she signed with AEW because she's a freelancer? Do you think that maybe AEW offered her a contract? Because we did see pictures, obviously after the camera stopped rolling, that after she was, by she I mean Sari, was successful in her title defense with Alex Windsor, Tony Khan came out in the middle of the aisle and like gave her a handshake, a hug, and and raised her arm. So clearly Tony Khan, as everybody else in the world, was really satisfied with her performance in Ring of Honor on those two shows. Is it a possibility that Tony Khan signed her? Again, is it a possibility because of the low ticket sales that they did? They wanted to put this on. Is it a possibility because this is Sumo Hall, and again, Stardom is going to be running Sumo Hall at the end of the year, and this almost like a commercial for Stardom? Because from what people were telling me, this was the best match on the show. Again, I did not see the rest of the show, but I had a lot of people tell me that this was the best match on the entire show. Why do you think that this was rushed? I kind of just want to get your thought process on why do you think instead of waiting to the end of the year or waiting even for the Tokyo Dome, because obviously Sherry said she wants to defend the IWGP championship on the Tokyo Dome, because this would have been a great match either as one of the big main event matches on Dream Queendom or putting it in on the Tokyo Dome. I just kind of just want to get your opinion on why you think that this happened on 3 days notice.
There's obviously, we're not going to hit on the actual answer. The actual reason I imagine is going to be kept pretty damn safe. I mean, it'll be interesting to hear what the Wrestling Observer says when that drops tomorrow to see if anything is said there. There's a couple of things to sort of take into account. You're absolutely right. Syuri said after winning this belt that she wanted to defend it at the Tokyo Dome. It's sort of being heavily implied that it will be defended at Wrestle Kingdom 20. Can't believe we're at Wrestle Kingdom 20. That's wild. But obviously we wanted Sari to have the chance to defend the belt at the for New Japan with her, her connection with Antonio Inoki. I think if there was a choice to be had, they'd have done this at the Tokyo Dome. It makes the most sense. If they were destined not to do this on a Stardom show, then surely the Tokyo Dome would have made the most sense. Now, I know that there was sort of the startings of a feud, obviously, between Sari and Saya Kamitani. However, again, I can't remember on social media who put it out, but said that Saya Kamitani's actually deleted all the tweets about Sari, which I find quite unusual. Now, again, if she signed for AEW, the same goes for Sari, as we said to Mina Shirakawa, as we said to Tekla. It's a great opportunity to get themselves, on national TV in, the second biggest company in the world. Fair play, go for it. Absolutely take that chance with both hands. Tekla's smashing it out the park with
God.
AEW. Mina Shirakawa obviously doing really, really well between AEW and Ring of Honor. If Sari goes that route, then obviously I think it's fantastic for her. I don't think if she has signed for AEW or with Ring of Honor, I don't think that she will have done it as an exclusive deal. I think she will still do her freelance stuff and things like that. But the timing of it seems very odd. Now, obviously, there are parallels to how Syuri dropped the belt, because obviously a couple of days after wrestling Alex Windsor, Syuri dropped the belt to Sari. And then a couple of days after defending the belt against Alex Windsor, Sari then dropped the belt back to Syuri. So there is a nice parallel there. I don't think that's why they've done it, but it's a nice little story beat. I don't know. I know that ticket sales weren't great for this show in comparison to other King of Pro Wrestlings. They weren't bad, but they weren't up to that usual. So I think it was about 5,000, something like that. There has to have been a reason. There has to have been a reason that they've put this on this card. I don't think that there is a cynical part of me that thinks that maybe they have put it on just to aid with ticket sales. But with Saya Kamitani deleting everything that she's put about Sari, with there being a noticeable cooling in the crowd reaction to Sari as well. Like, you look at the 5-star Grand Prix, a month and a half ago, she was getting nuclear reactions. And now you look at the Korakuen Hall show that we're going to talk about very shortly. I don't want to say that the crowd was apathetic towards Sari. They certainly weren't, but it was nowhere near the same as it was in the 5-star Grand Prix. So I don't know, something is going on. And obviously, we don't have all the information. We don't have all the pieces. We are sort of taking a piece from here and a piece from there. We're taking 2 and 2 and coming up with a banana. So it seems very odd to do this on 3 days' notice. It seems equally odd that this would be the perfect match for Stardom's biggest show or one of Stardom's biggest shows of the year at the end of the year in Ryogoku. It seemed made for that. So unless they are doing Sari versus Saya Kamitani, which with Saya Kamitani now deleting all the tweets about Sari seems unlikely, maybe Sari has got something penciled in with AEW. And if she has, I just hope that they keep her presentation, because we've seen what she's capable of. We've seen her have bangers in America now with Alex Windsor, who, Jesus Christ, what a wrestler Alex Windsor is. Like, good God. I'm so glad that she's been signed, because again, she's such a good wrestler, such a good wrestler. Yeah, it's a weird one. It really is. And my first thought when this was announced wasn't, oh, this is going to be great for Stardom. It was, this is weird. The timing's weird. Because we knew that Sari was going to be, we knew that the winner of Syuri and Alex Windsor was going to be wrestling Sari at the conversion. That was announced weeks and weeks in advance of Shiori coming to the UK and defending the belt at Eve. This, I don't know, this just seemed to have been oh, right, we need to switch the belt. We need to do it now. So something's clearly happened. Whatever that is, I don't know. And until we know further, it's just going to be speculation. But the match itself was great. The match itself, and the matches that I have seen, I just haven't seen Takeshita and Zack. This was the best match on the card. And obviously, I know people are going to say, well, you run a Stardom podcast, so obviously you're going to say that. But this was legitimately, from what I like, for my style of wrestling that I enjoyed, this was the best match. Nearly 15 minutes. You're absolutely right. They gave it loads and loads of time. Whether Shiori gets that time at the Tokyo Dome, I don't know. But, and look at this for a transition, Matt. Someone that will be getting time at the Tokyo Dome is Saya Kamitani.
Real quick, buddy, did you see who they teased for Sherry's V1 in the second reign that may or may not be?
Starlight Kid, didn't they?
Miko Wada.
Oh,
At the end of
yes, at the produce show.
Yes, they got in each other's face, and then Sherry had the belt up, and Miko Wada was just a lot of pictures only, Rob, because for some reason we couldn't stream that. But yeah, so maybe, hopefully, we did see them. They had a match at Sendai Girls. I think it was last year. They had a match at Sendai, either last year or early this year. They had a match at Sendai Girls. So love to see that run back. I just want to put the exclamation point on the Sherry thing. But continue, good sir, to the one and only, the Stardom Cast, the wrestler of the year for everybody. And if you're wrong, if you don't believe us, you're wrong. But no, go ahead, continue, good sir.
I mean, you're ruining my transition, but sure, whatever. Yeah, obviously, the New Japan did a press conference just after King of Pro Wrestling, with Aaron Wolf making his debut at Wrestle Kingdom. It has been announced that he'll be wrestling Evil for the Never Openweight Championship. Evil won that belt from Bolin Oleg at King of Pro Wrestling. So that match was announced. That is currently the only match, aside from Hiroshi Tanahashi's final match, that we don't know the opponent of. Please be Shinsuke. It's not going to be Shinsuke.
It's Kamitani. It's got to be
but
Kamitani.
That is true. The only thing they've announced is Saya Kamitani. Now, again, you might think, okay, she's been announced for the Tokyo Dome. So what? She's been announced 3 months in advance. Okay, she has been announced 3 months in advance. That is how hot this woman is at the moment. She has been announced for New Japan's biggest show as one of the biggest attractions. So just let that sink in for a moment. We were talking not 3 years ago that Kairi and Tam Nakano were lucky to get time on the card because of, Mercedes Moné had an entire Valkyrie rock opera as her entrance. And to be fair, it did take her a good hour and a half to get down to the ring in those shoes, and fair play to her.
She was awesome. Let's give credit.
Yeah.
Mercedes is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
I love Mercedes. She's great.
Well, we're going to be talking about Mercedes in a moment. But Saya Kamitani, again, has been announced for that card, which is obviously fantastic. It has been, as I mentioned, heavily implied that Shiori will be defending the IWGP Women's Championship. Initially, I was like, okay, we're doing Saya versus Shiori. That will be interesting. Maybe we'll put all 3 belts on the line. Maybe Saya Kamitani is going to be doing her own Mercedes Moné belt collecting thing. And then there have been more steady rumors that potentially we could be seeing Saya Kamitani versus Mercedes Moné at the Tokyo Dome, potentially for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. Now, that is obviously a money match, pun very much intended.
Damn right. Damn right. Good job, buddy.
Proud of that. That's almost like my TJ Wilson segue in the interview that's coming up on Sunday, which honestly, it took me an hour to recover from that segue. It was that good. Just wait for the interview. Obviously, that's a money match. Irrelevant of what you think of Mercedes Moné as a wrestler and a belt collecting gimmick and, as a wrestler, full stop. Saya Kamitani versus Mercedes Moné is money. Now, obviously, you've then got the issue, well, who comes out on top? Because I'm sorry, Stardom are not having Saya Kamitani lose. But I imagine AEW are also not going to have Mercedes Moné lose. So that's a really interesting dynamic. I imagine if push comes to shove, Saya will take the L. But also in Japan, where she's had the hottest year of any Joshi in the last 15, 20 years.
20 years, yeah, at least.
In terms of ticket sales and stuff like that, obviously there is a debate to be had about IYO and stuff like that. Obviously, Stardom didn't have the resources and things when IYO and Mayu were wrestling in 2015, 2014. So there is a debate to be had there. But I don't see Saya Kamitani being announced for the Tokyo Dome 3 months before the show to then take the L. I just don't see it happening. I think it will be a big match. I don't think it will be against Syuri, which means that we might get 2 women's matches on this card, which, again, just going to put this out there. Unfortunately, I don't think Syuri is getting a lot of time. Considering that we are steadily getting, more and more time. Obviously, Kairi and Tam Nakano had 25 seconds, and then we had Mayu versus Azumi that had just under 9 minutes. Maybe Syuri breaks the 10 minutes, but I wouldn't hold your breath. But I imagine that Saya is getting a substantial amount of time if they've announced her before the show, announced it before the card's been announced it before Tanahashi's final opponent has been announced, all that kind of stuff. I imagine that they aren't doing that to peddle her out for a 5-minute match against Fukigen Death. No disrespect to the Queen Clown.
You want to draw tickets? You just drew tickets, buddy.
There we go. It's going to be interesting because, again, I don't think that she'll be defending the World of Stardom Championship there. I think it will be for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship, which I'll be perfectly honest, just my personal opinion, that belt needs to go now. It's served its purpose. There's no point to it anymore. The Strong brand doesn't exist anymore. Let's just merge it with the IWGP Women's Championship. That's a conversation for another time as well. But I imagine that Saya will probably defend the belt at Ryogoku on the 29th and then defend the New Japan Strong Women's belt at the Tokyo Dome. Either way, incredibly exciting, and it's great to see this buzz about a female wrestler being announced for the Tokyo Dome for New Japan. Just have a think about that even being a remote possibility at Wrestle Kingdom 13 or 14 or even 15, where obviously we had Stardom wrestlers, but they were on untelevised dark matches. And now Saya Kamitani is one of the main attractions. Now that is amazing and goes to show it's just another feather in the cap of what has been just an insane year for this woman.
Rob, if you remember Wrestle Kingdom a couple of years ago, it was Saya and Tam versus Starlight Kid and Mayu. I think they had about 7 minutes. It was a really great tag match. But it was Saya got the win, with the Phoenix Splash. I'm sorry, with the Phoenix Splash. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I agree. I think she defends the red belt at the week before at Sumo Hall, because that's got to be the big deal there, right? If it is her and Mercedes, I know Athena's thrown her hat in the ring. Wouldn't mind seeing that.
Who wouldn't, man? Like, who wouldn't?
I'll be honest with you. I honestly think it's going to be a tag match. I would love to see us. Maybe it's just the way that kind of New Japan kind of treats Stardom at this time. At the same time, Stardom's a lot harder than New Japan and have been for quite some time.
Absolutely.
They really, really have. Obviously, New Japan's the bigger brand, but Stardom is red and white hot, pun intended. If they are doing Saya versus Mercedes for the strong belt, so you have your AEW wrestler, right? Just kind of rewind on what you said 2 minutes ago. Your AEW wrestler and your Stardom wrestler. However, it's a New Japan show for a New Japan championship. I think Mercedes then gets the belt back that was basically designed for her. So then she's like 10 belt Monet or 11 belt Monet or whatever it is. But regardless, if they are doing a singles match, if you remember, Mercedes Monet is a big enough star where she kind of, I'm not going to say has creative control, but she kind of calls her own shots. That match that they had with Mina on the 5th earlier this year at Wrestle Dynasty got a lot of time. Got a good amount of time, like 13, 14 minutes, something like that. And it was a great, great match. So if you're going to give Mercedes and Saya Kamitani 14, 15 minutes at the same time, it's going to be a big attraction match because, again, New Japan is a lot different now than it was years ago. Obviously, the big draw for this Wrestle Kingdom, no matter what the championship match is Tanahashi's last match.
Oh, absolutely.
Arguably the greatest wrestler in the history of that country. Obviously, you have Okada, Noki, Misawa, Kawada, so on and so forth. But you can obviously, Tanahashi's arguably the biggest name in the history of wrestling in that country in his final match.
New Japan.
Absolutely. Now you have Aaron Wolf, him making his debut, which is getting a ton of buzz. So it's like, you don't have Okada. You don't have Naito. You don't have Nakamura. Or at least maybe you don't, because there is a possibility we might have a tag match for the Tanahashi final. I would not be shocked because Naito is a freelancer. Nakamura is working for WWE at the same time. We've seen Nakamura kind of do some work in the Japanese promotions. And Okada is contracted to AEW, who works with New Japan. You're telling me that they wouldn't let Okada and Tanahashi have one more match, either tagging together or on opposite ends? So I would not be shocked if Okada is on this Wrestle Kingdom show. Regardless, we know we're getting Saya Kamitani. They're telling us 3 months in advance, to the point where they had to have a press conference for it. And I'm really glad this was a great press conference, not where Saya Kamitani was announcing her retirement, Rob. I'm hoping that
It's
you didn't
fine.
have
I
a
knew
hard.
it wasn't. They didn't do the black and white logo, so I knew it wasn't anything bad.
You were good. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Regardless of what they do with her, this is a major thing for Stardom and Saya Kamitani. They think they sold over 22,000 tickets already, with just one match announced, and then Tanahashi's obviously retirement. So this is going to do gangbuster numbers as we see the card fill out. Not only that, but again, you're going to have Kamitani on Dream Queendom in a big match, probably the main event for the red belt, which he will more than likely retain and should. So it's just going to be like any tickets that weren't sold between the 29th and the 4th and the walk-up business. A lot of people are like, I need to see that Saya Kamitani. I need to see that Saya Kamitani. Rob Goodwin. The thing I'm excited for a lot of different reasons. The Tokyo Dome, our first time being there. There's going to be a lot of tears. You're going to see a lot of happy tears from Matt Turner that entire week with all the venues that we are planning on going to.
Absolutely.
When I go to the Tokyo Dome, you might have to grab my arm because I might faint, because it's the Tokyo Dome. And I've seen so much great reds, hollow grounds of the Tokyo Dome. That's Saya Kamitani entrance in the Tokyo Dome. I mean, how great was it? How insane was it at Sumo Hall? 4,000 people. How insane was it at All-Star Grand Queendom? 7,500 people. You're going to get the biggest stage in Japan in front of 30, 40,000 people. Like, my mind is going to melt. But, man, this is great. Again, the fact that you're announcing it this far in advance, and there's so much speculation. Again, maybe I'm just having. I think it might be a tag match. I know it might be a missed opportunity if it's not. I'm hoping it's a singles match. But man, the Mercedes match. The fact that we might be getting a Shuri match. Athena's throwing her hat in the ring. It's really gonna be interesting to see what happens there. But the fact that we might be getting 2 Stardom matches on Wrestle Kingdom. Happy camper, my man. And then you're throwing in at the same time as Tanahashi's retirement. It's gonna be a very emotional day. You might have to carry me out in a gurney afterwards.
It's not often we disagree, but I do disagree. They aren't calling a press conference to say that Saya Kamitani is going to be on this card to throw her an attack match.
I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong. I never wanted to be more wrong in my life than that.
I don't see it happening. I mean, look, we might just be getting. We might be getting Saya Kamitani versus Shuri for the IWGP Women's Title. That I don't know who they put over. Like, do you have Saya be 3 belts? And like, I can't. Does Shuri win and then parlay that into a red belt shot at Supreme Fight? Like, you could do that. That's certainly a way to do that. I'm intrigued to know where they're going with Shuri at Dream Queendom. If they indeed do an IWGP Women's Title defense at Ryogoku. If they do one at Ryogoku, I don't think they'll do one at the Dome. But Shuri has been very adamant that she wants to have a match at the Dome. I don't think Mikari Wata versus Shuri is Dome worthy. As good as Mikari Wata is, like, don't get me wrong, she's fantastic.
That's a Korakuen match.
That's a Korakuen match. I mean, arguably, you could do that Ryogoku. That would be a good Ryogoku match. But I don't think it's Dome worthy if they're going to run Stardom. If they're going to run Shuri an IWGP match at the Tokyo Dome, I think you could arguably do Starlight Kid there.
There's so much, man.
There is so much.
It's insane. Like, with all, and I say it every week, with all the talent they lost in the last year and a half, and it's the hottest the company's ever been. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different ways they can do. Saya Kamitani versus Starlight Kid, either in Ryogoku or the Tokyo Dome, or maybe you save that for All-Star Grand Queendom, or when they run their solo Dome show. Where does Sari fit into all this? And if she does sign to AEW, if they have the working relationship with Stardom, so she can go back there. Are you bringing Mina Shirakawa back for any? There's so much. It's insane. And then, by the way, and next week we're watching IYO versus Mayu. Like,
blessed. Hashtag blessed. yeah, there's a number of directions you could go. I do think we'll be having Saya versus Micah at Ryogoku. I think that's where we go. But again, if you were to do Saya versus Starlight Kid, I certainly wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, let's whip through a couple more bits of news. We do have new challengers for the Goddesses of Stardom tag titles. We knew this was coming up at the end of the Korakuen show, which we're going to be talking about momentarily. But Mavida Loca, so Rina Yamashita and Itsuki Aoki will be challenging BMI 2000 for the belts on October 27th at Stardom Naita in Korakuen Hall. So we've already got our first match already established for October 27th. It will be Rina and Itsuki Aoki versus Natsuko Tora and Ruaka. Matt's going to be a great match. We've seen the chemistry that Mavida Loca and Hate have together, especially in these multi-women matches. Rina and Itsuki Aoki are great. However, I think we can both say that with fair certainty, the BMI 2000 are probably retaining.
I think that, but the bigger question is how much of this match it gets spent on the outside, Rob? 30%, 40%?
Oh,
Because this match.
let's do an under over 50% of the match on the outside.
Oh, I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna say it's gonna be 35 or 40 because these wrestlers, especially Rena and Tora, because we've seen them in big main events for obviously Tora with Stardom and Rena and Rena and all the other companies. They like those big, long, drawn out finishes, which has to happen in the middle of the ring. So I think that's the reason why. But I think you're going to see at least 5 minutes of action on the outside. This is going to be, in the words of Jim Ross, bowling shoe ugly in the best way possible. But it's a great shot for La Vida Loca, especially Aoki and Rina, who may or may not be full members of this roster. We kind of don't know, and that's okay. But I mean, this can be a great match with Tora and Ruaka, with Ruaka obviously being on an absolute tear, and Tora is absolutely crushing it as well. We'll talk about their great match that they had with Lady C and Ami Sori in just a little bit. But I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited for Rina and Aoki to be getting a real big spotlight in a match coming up, Korakuen Hall, at the end of this month, more than likely the main event of said show.
We have got the full card announced for New Blood 25. Obviously, as this show drops, this show will have already happened. It is live, of course, on Stardom World and on YouTube. The full card at the Azalea Taisho Hall in Osaka on Friday, October 17th, has been announced. It is as follows. Emma Maishima will be taking on Kikyo Furusawa in singles action. Yori Ahemi versus Yuki Mashiro in singles action as well. That's going to be great. Tag match, the God's Eye team of Rani Yagami and Kyoko Katatsu will be taking on, just how has this team never happened before? Fukigen Death and Ram Kaichao. How has that team never been a thing before in Stardom? It makes the most sense. Singles match, Rina Yamashita versus Akira Kurogane. Almost seemingly a proving ground match, which I'm excited to see. And then your main event, which I'd be very surprised if this isn't leading towards a New Blood tag title match. EXV, Watsukiyama Hanako and Rian against Yuna Mizumori, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurora. Second consecutive New Blood show now with no titles defended. Matt, are you a bit surprised?
I would say yes, but regardless, I think they should not only do this for, like, this can be potential for the next New Blood show, which I think is only a few weeks away. They should also do this as the number one contenders for the artist belts, because we've been saying how great Hanako, Stone Cold Rion, and Waka have been as a trio since obviously Mina left, Micah injured, Xena injured. And we saw Aya, Sayaka, and Yuna. I think they were the V1 for the Work Rate Angels. I think they did. Yeah, and that was a great match. And Korakuen, towards the end of that match, they really wanted to see a title change with basically the younger versions of Cosmic Angels winning the belt. So I would, double down on this and make this one a number one contenders for the Artists of Stardom Championship. Again, we're not Stardom bookers. We don't know which way they're going to go. But I'd love to see a New Blood Tag Team Championship match on the show. Sure. But at the same time, this 6-person tag as the main event is going to be all sorts of fantastic. And the rest of the card looks really, really great as well. These New Blood shows are really fun. They're fun to watch. They're right around 2 hours. Again, the more smaller, intimate, kind of almost independent wrestling venues with a really stacked card. So I'm really looking forward to this one. You said this was tomorrow, Friday, right?
Indeed, Friday the 17th.
I will be watching this while I'm still under anesthesia, because I'll probably watch this when I come home. So I cannot wait to show you my notes, because it'll look like.
Looks like you've written it with your face.
I don't know whether to be offended more by that or your Tam Nakano supergroup
Oh
comment.
my God. That broke me, that did, Matt. Broke me. Moving on to Starlight Kid's late push to become Booker of the Year. More matches have been announced for her anniversary show. We have got a three-way all-star tag match. Sayori Poi against Mika Iwata and Chihiro Hashimoto versus Konami and Ruaka. I mean, Starlight Kid managing to pull in all of the big guns. Of course, this is with her main event alongside El Desperado and Dragon Kid against
Kyoko.
oh my, thank you, Kyoko and Shingo Takagi as well. So, again, doing everything she possibly can. I believe there is a match where at the moment it's just two silhouettes, but it does say it's Starlight Kid versus Starlight Kid, which is going to be very exciting. And there's a really big part of me that hopes it's Shin. And it's
Oh, it's
just
gotta
her
be.
coming out as Shin Starlight Kid. Imagine it will be incredible.
And now Ishikawa as because she was the fake Tam. Maybe she's the
Yes,
fake Starlight Kid.
maybe.
It's kind of funny, Rob, because as we're looking at this graphic, obviously news for me, whenever any news drops, Stardom news or news on the Joshi world, always drops early in the morning for me. So I was at the gym and my phone kept buzzing. So I looked at it and I got tagged in this photo. At first, I thought this was a 6-person tag. I thought it was Miko Wada and Sori Poi versus Chiro Hashimoto, Konami, and Ruaka. I'm like, oh, that's going to be great. And about 2 hours later, I wind up reading. Reading is fundamental. I'm like, oh, even better. Sori Poi versus the two aces, in my opinion, of Sendai Girls and Chihiro Hashimoto and Mika Wada versus Konami. Again, Konami on an absolute tear this year. Arguably her greatest year, and Ruaka definitely her greatest year, one half of the tag team champions. So it's like, boy, howdy. It's almost like Starlight Kid's laughing and not supporting Soriano's face. Like, remember that great show you put out back in May? I'm going to try to one-up you towards the end of the year. Man, I'm super excited for this one. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe I forgot Kyoko and Nue's real first name. I was like, I know it. Come on. Why could I wanted to say Kaori Ito, and I was like, that's not right. Never mind. Anyway, talking about Starlight Kid, and this dropped just after we'd recorded as well. Not the news we'd ordinarily drop, but Starlight Kid has made an appearance in a music video, Matt. And I know that obviously you are a big Ashniko fan, and obviously Smoochie Girl, which is the song, is heavily in rotation on your Spotify playlist. I know it's, Raining Blood, sort of Fade to Black, and then Smoochie Girl. I know that that's sort of the rotation on your workout playlist. But Starlight Kid does feature in the video for the American rapper Ashniko's new song, Smoochie Girl. I don't know if you've seen the video yet. It's basically
A video.
a series of almost still images of Starlight Kid locking Ashniko in various holds. Now, I don't want to bury Ashniko, obviously, but if she's going to do this, she needs to sell the move. I mean, she is locked in some sort of submission as she is singing like she's not in pain at all. Burying the finish, Matt Turner. Someone needs to take her aside.
Yeah, it's not like Starlight Kid's the Wonder of Stardom champion, or in my opinion, the second biggest star in the hottest year the company's ever had. Like, come on now. But no,
Absolutely.
I haven't seen. I definitely need to. Obviously, again, Smoochie Girl is in my rotate when I'm doing that shoulder day, and I'm really, really doing that. I'm trying to max out on my shoulder press.
Absolutely. There's
I'm
only
like,
one
what?
song that'll do it.
Yeah, am I doing the live version of Angel of Death by Slayer or Smoochie Girl? And it usually goes to Smoochie Girl. So it's one or the other.
I could just imagine you like it coming on and you're going, what is this? It doesn't strike me as a song that me or you would listen to very often.
But Starlight Kid in the video, and I love Starlight Kid. So obviously I
Exactly.
definitely need to watch said video. But this is an awesome, again, I think one of the many reasons why Stardom is doing so well in a financial aspect is because they're more than just wrestling. You've seen Saya Kamitani on all these, shows, and we've seen the variety, on the talk shows, and now Starlight Kid in a music video from what I guess somebody's a very popular pop star. Again, outside of the metal and hard rock realm, I know next to nothing. Really know next to nothing. That's kind of just my jam, literally. But again, good on Starlight Kid appearing in a music video from, again, somebody that I guess is a major recording star.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like the stuff that Starlight has put out on social media, it does look like she had an absolute riot doing this. So good for her. Yeah, absolutely. Probably will never listen to the song, but there we are.
From what I understand, this video is a lot easier to find than Historic Crossover 3.
Well, yeah, because this music video happened, Matt. That's all I'm saying. Apparently, someone is editing this on actual like hard film and is having to cut it with a Stanley knife and stuff and piece it back together. Because I'm not gonna lie, I think GTA 6 will arrive before Historic Crossover 6. I think the new millennium will arrive before Historic Crossover 3. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when that show does actually drop. 'Cause it's still not a Stardom world now.
I completely forgot about it, to be honest with you. I just realized that Starlight Kid looks as happy in this photo we're looking at as she did with the supposed photos with her and Miyu on the Saki in China.
AI is a wonderful thing, Matt. That's all I'm saying. Moving on. Final bit of news. And I know we did mention this yesterday, but both Tomoka Inaba and Azusa Inaba will be making their New Japan debuts. JTO will be having an exhibition match at the New Japan Road Show in Ishikari on Sunday, October 19th. It is, I believe, Taichi's homecoming show in the Hanakawa Minami Junior High School Gymnasium. And the match is third on the card. It'll be Rhythm and Tomoka Inaba versus Aoi and Azusa Inaba. So really good for them. And again, tops off what has been quite the week for Tomoka Inaba, having wrestled with Starlight Kid against Syuri and Mikari Wata. Azusa Inaba also successfully defended the JTO Girls title against Sayaka Kurora on that show as well. We will be doing a review of that show whenever it does air. I think that will probably come out before Historic Crossover, but there we are. But yeah,
The race is on, buddy. The race is on.
Race is on. But yes, we will be reviewing that when it comes out. Matt Turner, we are an hour and 20 minutes into this podcast, so I'm afraid we are going to have to get our skates on somewhat. We are going to be looking at Stardom's latest foray into Korakuen Hall from the 11th of October. The show itself, the announced attendance was 1,396. Now, though this attendance is a 14.77% decrease from the previous show at Korakuen, which, if you remember, was their super sellout, 1,638 on the 27th of September, it's still a mightily impressive number when you consider that no single Stardom title was defended on the card. Saya Kamitani was, I believe, third on the card, maybe fourth. I can't remember the exact show order, but she wasn't in a main match on the card. Starlight Kid was in the opener. So again, a really, really good number, all things considered. It is worth pointing out as well that this does continue that phenomenal record we seem to harp on about every single time we're talking about Korakuen. Every Korakuen Hall show now, and we are in the middle of October, has surpassed 1,000 people in 2025 for Stardom, and this is the 17th Korakuen in a row that has gone above 1,000 people and is the 21st of the last 22, which is madness. Again, you would have to go to October 2024 for the last time Stardom didn't draw 1,000 people plus to Korakuen Hall. Quite the achievement. Right, let's run down these results then. We open with a tag team match. The Neo Genesis team of Starlight Kid and Miyu Amasaki defeated EXV, Hanako, and Rian. Starlight Kid hitting the moonsault onto Rian in 9 minutes and 38 seconds. In what might legitimately, no joke, be my favorite match on this card. 8-woman tag match. Saki Kashima, Sayaka Kurora, Aya Sakura, and Kyo Furusawa defeated Mi Vida Loca, the team of Bozilla, Akira Kuragane, Itsuki Aoki, and Rina Yamashita via countout in 9 minutes and 58 seconds. Three-way match. Waka Tsukiyama defeated Meisera and Emma Maishima, pinning Meisera with the Osui suplex in 34 seconds, Matt Turner. 12-woman tag followed this. The hate team of Saya Kamitani, Momo Watanabe, Konami, Rina, Azusa Inaba, and Fukigen Death defeated the team of Saya Ida, Momo Kogo, Uriah Himi, Natsupoi Sayori, Ano, Yuna Mizumori with Konami submitting Saya Ida with a rear naked choke in 10 minutes and 58 seconds. 6-woman tag match that saw the return of Syuri, the God's Eye team of Syuri Hina and Rana Yagami, defeated the team of Sari, Chi-Chi, and Miku Kanai. Syuri submitting Miku Kanai with the Suzaku in 10 minutes and 27 seconds. 2 title matches to round off this Korakuen Hall show. A CMLL Japan Women's Championship match. Hazuki defeated Koguma, the champion, to become the new CMLL Japan Women's Champion. The seventh champion. I apologize. The 7th woman to hold that belt. Pinning Koguma with the vertical drop brainbuster in 22 minutes and 12 seconds, recording just the 2nd singles victory over the Bear in the process. And then in your main event, Goddesses of Stardom Championships match, the team of BMI 2000, Natsuko and Ruaka, retained their championships against the Raiwa Tokyo Towers, Lady C and Amisori. Natsuko pinning Ami with the Swanton Bomb in 19 minutes and 32 seconds. Matt, let's break into this card then. We opened with Starlight Kid, Miyu Amasaki, Hanako, and Rian. And aside from being incredibly headache-inducing, these graphics, simply because there is so much going on in the background, what did you think of this opener?
This was great. And again, Stardom put I believe the first 3 matches free on YouTube. And when you're starting off your show with, again, in my opinion, the 2nd biggest star in the company, Starlight Kid, your Wonder of Stardom champion, really good way to start off. I always say you want to start your shows and your bigger shows off with a hot opener. This was a hot opener. The one thing I've noticed on not only this show, but all the other shows we're going to review, Starlight Kid and Miyu Amasaki have great chemistry as a tag team. We've seen, obviously, even when Suzu Suzuki was in Neo Genesis, Suzu teaming with May, Suzu teaming with Starlight Kid, obviously Starlight Kid teaming with May Sarah and Azumi as part of Starbomb, and obviously Miyu usually teams with Azumi as O2 line. We really don't get to see the teamwork of Starlight Kid and Miyu Amasaki that much since Neo Genesis has been a thing over this past year and change. And wowzers, it really doesn't matter which way you slice and dice this Neo Genesis faction, it all works, which is a credit to how great these wrestlers are. Hanako and Rian were terrific. I love when they do the spot where Rian does the leapfrog over Hanako and then double stops her opponents. I think that is so great. Really good stuff. Again, Miyu was terrific. Hanako was great. Again, very much like in the 5-star Grand Prix, this chemistry with Starlight Kid and Rian was great. They had a great little mini match towards the end. It was a great teamwork from Neo Genesis that took out Hanako. Eventually, to Starlight Kid with the shotgun knees and the top rope moonsault, putting away Stone Cold Rian. Great way to start the show. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Moving on to the match between Saki Kashima and her knights, to make a Survivor Series 1993 reference there, against Mavida Loca. I found this absolutely hilarious. Saki Kashima is one of those wrestlers that is so effortlessly funny with whatever she does. And again, it just brings out a completely different side of Bozilla, which I really enjoy. Obviously, Saki Kashima, the bit at the start where she grabs Kikyo, Sayaka, Kurora, and Isakura all into like this group, and then just seems to be like smiling as though to go, look at my friends, look at all my lovely friends. And then the match happens, and Saki Kashima tries everything she possibly can to keep a good 25 meters between her and Bozilla at all times, which is, you know, probably the right way to wrestle Bozilla. And then So we get the count out win, which I'm fine with. Okay, it's an undercard tag match. It's fine. You know, Sayaka Kurora spears Bozilla off the apron so she can't but get back into the ring. And Bozilla then goes mental, just destroys everything and everyone, which I thought was great. Like, keep Bozilla as a monster, destroys everyone. Doesn't matter if it's her own faction, doesn't matter if it's everyone else. I mean, and she does level everyone, including her own faction. Apparently, everything is fine because she's still teaming with them, but she destroyed everyone. Then she goes to hit a power bomb onto Sayaka Kurora, and Matt, who saves the day? It's Saki Kashima. Saki Kashima does everything she can to save Sayaka Kurora, and then apparently on the microphone says, I would do anything to save Sayaka Kurora. And Bozilla says, Right, well, okay. You'd do anything to save Sayaka Kurora, would you? Well, how about a singles match with me? And Saki Kashima is relying on Sayaka Kurora to translate. And according to social media, Sayaka Kurora's English is quite good. So apparently Sayaka Kurora knew exactly what Bozilla was saying and just turned to Saki Kashima and went, I think you should say yes. Yeah, I think you should say yes. So Saki Kashima, having no idea what had been said, was like, yeah, absolutely. I will. I will. And Bozilla's like, yes. And then something must have twigged in Saki Kashima because she's like, what have I just said yes to? And then Sayaka Kurora tells her, and she's like, no match, relax, Bozilla, no match, and runs off. And honestly, she's so funny. And I know there's that shirt of the singles graphic of Saki Kashima and Bozilla. That's the match I want. Sod Saya Kamitani off from the Wrestle Kingdom show. Give me Saki Kashima and Bozilla. That's the match I want to see.
Bozilla, Rob, has, again, we'll talk about it at the end of this show, and we talked about it last week. They kind of planted the seeds for a possible Bozilla versus Starlight Kid match. Again, we'll get into a little bit later. They kind of planted the seeds for a possible Bozilla versus Saya Kamitani match. So again, your two biggest stars, your two biggest champions, and your most profitable year. But they planted the seeds for the Saki Kashima match. And that's the match that we all want to see. Of course, Starlight Kid and Bozilla is going to draw a ton of money, and it's going to be a match of the year candidate. Of course, Bozilla versus Saya Kamitani for the red belt in a big venue is going to sell a lot of pay-per-views and a lot of tickets and one Stardom More subscriptions. Great. But we want to see Bozilla versus Saki Kashima because the build-up for this on paper makes, if you're writing this out, like if the powers to be at Stardom were like, all right, got Matt and Rob from the Stardom Cast, here's what we're going to do. And they wrote it to us and sent us in an email. We're like, this is so dumb. This makes no sense. But to see it played out, you're like, this is one of the best things Stardom's done all year, which is saying something because they're having a banner year. It's so damn entertaining. This match was fun. It was all over the place to begin with. I definitely want to see an Aoki and Rina Yamashita match versus Aya and Sayaka. I think that'd be a terrific match. Kyoko Furusawa, obviously, she was terrific here. But I like how they're building towards the end. Like, okay, I can see this being a count out would make sense to keep me Levito Loca strong. But I like how it was Sayaka Kurora's spear that gets over because she spears Bozilla so she can't get back in the ring. So I liked how we got that move over. Again, it was a fun, entertaining match. You had the heat on the baby faces, the heels being dominant. Ultimately, it's just really the story of Bozilla, like a bull that sees red. I don't care if who you are. If you're in the way, I'm going to destroy you. Very much like we would see in Japanese wrestling some 30, 40 years ago, like with Stan Hansen, a Bruiser Brody, and Abdul the Butcher. Literally the point where like Bozilla took this fight to the outside. If you were in the crowd, you wanted to part the seat. Like there's danger there, which is really, really cool. Again, we live in a post-kayfabe world. You know, the toothpaste is out of the tube. We understand the genie's out of the bottle. We get it, right? But at the same time, it's just like with Bozilla, especially there, you're like, man, if I don't want to piss off Bozilla coming my way, I don't care if she's on my team, if she's the referee, if she's the announcer, or from the first, second, or third row, I don't want her coming my way because there's danger there. And the fact that she's that good at just 21, 22 years old and she's able to blur the lines like that, that's just a great credit for Bozilla. And again, the fact then we're throwing on the cherry on top of Saki Kashima possibly having, yet not having this match. Obviously, the match is going to happen. That's the payoff. The match is definitely the payoff. And I think we know how it's going to go. Bozilla just dominating Saki Kashima. And then Saki gets out of the F5 and then rolls her up the Kishika side. That's got to be the match, right? That's how it's got to go, right? Fun match, 3.5 stars, but it wasn't about really the performance. It was about what they're potentially building to. Again, really great stuff from 8 fantastic professional wrestlers.
Moving on then, and our review is going to be longer than the match itself. Waka Tsukiyama getting a quick pinfall win over Meisera. Emma Maishima might as well have just not put a gear on. To be fair, she made her entrance, got shoved out of the way, Osui suplex, end of match. Waka is doing everything in her power to get this high-speed title match. And again, you know, you said it with Bozilla and Saki Kashima. We are getting that match. It's just a case of which match we get first, May and Waka or May and Yuna. I think we'll probably get May and Waka first because that's what we're building to at the moment. I imagine May probably beats Waka and then drops the belt to Yuna. Where that is, I don't know, and what the actual sort of steps to that are. Maybe they have May beat Waka at Korakuen and then have Yuna beat May at Crimson Nightmare because obviously that's coming up on the 3rd of November. I don't know. we will see. But yeah, this was great for Waka, especially after having a 5-star Grand Prix full of quick losses. Mei Sarah did not take well to it, and suckered her in with a handshake, launched her into the stratosphere with a German suplex. Now, Mei Sarah was not someone I thought would be a sore loser. Turns out, horrendously sore loser.
Unbelievable. You know, Rob, we kind of mentioned after the first 4 or 5 matches and the 5-star Grand Prix with Waka eating these fast L's. I made mention to you, I was like, there's something there. They're clearly building towards something. What it was, we don't know. I'm like, now we see the plan coming into place. 'Cause I think she beat Azusa and somebody else in the 5-star really, really quick as well. So I was like, oh, there it is. Now she pins May Sarah, who's been high speed champion off and on for the better part of 2 years. Really, really fast. Emma, the 11 seconds she was in the ring, really good. I'll give
a solid 11 seconds.
Hey, maximize. I always say maximize your minutes. Sometimes you have to maximize your seconds, and that's what she did. So good on her. Yeah, I think the next Korakuen, which I believe is at the end of this month, I think they're going to do May versus Waka.
27th.
But they've also been teasing that Hazuki wants a shot. She wants to be
Yes,
like the
they
next.
have.
So maybe they run that at Crimson Nightmare. That'll go to the 10-minute time limit draw, and then maybe we get that May versus Yuna, that one fall match that they kind of been teasing towards. Maybe just to stretch out the reign a little bit. And again, who doesn't want to see Hazuki versus May Sarah, whether it's under the old rules or the new rules? They had a great match back at I believe it was Supreme Fight back 2024, the beginning of last year. Really great 15-minute time limit match. So again, good on Waka getting the win against May Sarah. Clearly, that's the way they're going to go. And again, I did not rate this match because, 34 seconds, out of respect to these three great wrestlers. But again, it's what they're building towards. And again, my opinion, I think at the next Korakuen at the end of this month, it's going to be May versus Waka for the high speed championship. And that's definitely what I want to see. Good on Waka. Waka's on a roll, buddy. On a roll.
We then move on to a 12-woman tag. And we've talked about Saya versus Bozilla potentially. Obviously, she's got Momo Watanabe coming up at Crimson Nightmare. And something we didn't talk about, actually, Konami challenging Starlight Kid for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. That apparently is going to be made official for Crimson Nightmare as well. And you actually said it, partner, about how this seems to be a very hate-centric show. So I imagine that we will get a BMI 2000 tag title defense as well on that show. Maybe we see someone like an Azusa Rinaba go for the high-speed title,
Future.
really, or future. Yeah, absolutely. Make it a full-on hate-filled show. But something we didn't mention, and something that Stardom seemed to be leaning into, especially over these next two shows, Saya Kamitani and Sioriano. Now, that is something that, again, would that main event to Ryogoku? Probably not. But that is again, if she wasn't wrestling Momo here, I'd say that's the perfect main event to Crimson Nightmare. I'd love to see Saya Kamitani versus Sioriano. I think with the interactions that we've had between the pair, again, there's no one more fluid in the ring than Sioriano. Whether it's selling, whether it's bumping, whether it's transitioning into moves, Sioriano's fantastic. Saya Kamitani, hottest person in Stardom, hottest woman in wrestling. I would love to see that match. And the little taste we got of it here, and then the little taste we got of it in Kofu the day after. Yeah, I'm down for that, Mr. Turner.
They also teased Saya and Natsupoi. We made mention when they had their match at the Rendezvous show. It was a good match, but they left something on the table.
Yeah.
And then they because that was the last show before the 5-star, and then they jumped Natsupoi after the match because she was basically saying, I'm fighting harder for Tam than you are. To Natsupoi, I was like, ooh, there's something there. Then we thought Poi was going to win the 5-star Grand Prix. That didn't happen. So a lot of different ways they can go. Obviously, the main thing because we're still trying to figure out what's going to happen in Sumo Hall. Is it a rematch with a face Momo Watanabe? Is it Micah? Is it Natsupoi? Is it Soriano? Those are all possibilities. Obviously, the main thing is on the opposite end, Sai Kamitani red belt. Like that, it matters, but it doesn't matter who you plug in there because it's all going to sell really well. I think Soriano and Sai Kamitani, I think that is a Sumo Hall worthy match. I think, again, Soriano is a really big star. And the fact, I think if you give it the proper push, again, it's like 7 weeks time between Crimson Nightmare and Dream Queendom. So you have a lot of time to build. It's not going to take that long to heat up any one of these top 5 or 6 people to put them into a program with Saya Kamitani. So again, I don't know if they're doing Natsupoi. I don't know if they're doing Soriano. I don't know if they're doing Momo Watanabe, Micah, Sari, Shuri, who knows? It's really be interesting, but they tease a lot of things, and a lot of it is going to work because one, the Stardom roster, especially at the top, they are fantastic, and then two, who's the dance partner on the opposite end? The biggest ticket drawer in the history of this company, one, Saya Kamitani. As far as this match goes, partner, again, you had 11 minutes, 12 people, so a lot of people kind of playing the hits. You had all the really great hate stuff. To me, the main part in this match, and I would love to see this maybe in the tag league, maybe in just a build-up match coming up. I want to see Momo and Saya Kamitani, Momo Watanabe, and because there's a lot of Momos, there's a lot of Sayas. Momo Watanabe and Saya Kamitani versus Sorapoi, because we had little of exchanges there. I was like, oh wow, that's a match I want to see. Let that go to the old TLD. Excellent stuff there. You also had your artist champions in this match with Konami, Fuking Death, and Rina. And I know, again, Konami probably in the semi-main event of Crimson Nightmare, but I wouldn't be shocked if you're seeing her wrestle twice on that show and defending the artist belts maybe in an earlier match. Again, we've seen Azumi have 2 great matches in one night, Soriano, Momo Watanabe, so on and so forth. So I wouldn't be shocked if you see Konami in 2 title matches on that show, because it does seem like it's a hate-centric show coming up here in just a few weeks' time. They were great as a trio. Uriah Hime never ceases to amaze me how great she's getting. Again, look at this graph you're watching on YouTube. Look who she's tagging with, and look who she's across the ring with. She's only going to get better. And Momo Kogo, I say this every week, I'm going to say it again. She maximizes every second she gets in the match. I thought Momo Kogo was absolutely terrific here. But at the end, this was just the Konami show, and rightfully so, because as you mentioned, partner, after the first match, she challenges Starlight Kid for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. What are you seeing about 45 minutes later? Konami being absolutely dominant in a match that's full of a whole bunch of stars. Pun somewhat intended, because you have 3 members of stars. I didn't even mean to do that. But ultimately, that's really smart booking, is as you get everybody gets in, they get over, you get the proper heat onto hate, you get the great babyface stuff with the members of Stars and Cosmic Angels, and then ultimately you're just taking Konami, who again is your next challenger for your second biggest belt. That again, we just saw the challenge played out a little bit earlier, and she's absolutely dominant on Saida. Saida versus Konami is just another a relationship that works, that you just don't automatically think about, because the kicks, the chops, the hard hitting, the selling, the firing up. Ultimately, is Konami putting away Saida with a rear naked choke. 3 3/4 stars for me, my friend. Really great stuff.
Moving on then to one of the bigger matches announced, and this was Sari, Miku Kanai, and Chi-Chi against Syuri, Hina, and Rani Yagami. This was great. This was fast-paced. In fact, this entire Korakuen like flew by. I think it was only a shade over 3 hours, and the Koguma and Hazuki match was by far the longest match on the card. I think that only went 22 minutes. So, all these matches went by in a flash. This was great. It was hectic. It was frantic. It did everything it needed to in the small runtime, the comparatively short runtime it did. Obviously, we got that Sari and Syuri exchange, but I don't know about you. I want to see Chi-Chi and Syuri. I want to see Chi-Chi and Ronnie Yagami. Like, there was some striking in this match that I was like, this is like Ronnie Yagami was always a very strike focused wrestler anyway, but very recently, her strikes are coming across even better than before.
Yeah, she's almost like the second, it's almost a race between her and Tomoka Inaba, who's going to be the second hardest striker. But then Tomoka's been hitting a lot harder as well. So it's just
That
like,
is true. That is true.
again, we mention this every now and again, but a year ago, we're like, man, God's eye, they're depleted. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh boy, howdy, they have a
I
lot of
was going
people.
to mention this. Sorry to cut you
Oh,
off there,
please,
man.
please
I
go
was going
ahead,
to
brother.
mention
Please.
this later on. Like, it wasn't that long ago. We were talking about how God's Eye were aimless, they were directionless. It felt like they weren't winning anything. And it was especially when Shuri was feuding with Konami, and it just felt they were losing everything. Every feud they were losing. You got Lady C, who was still on the up and up. You got Ronnie Yagami, who was a rookie. You got Tomoka Inaba, who was only on a handful of shows. Hina, who was only on a handful of shows. And yet now they are, aside from hate, probably the most OP faction in Stardom. I would argue there is more momentum behind God's Eye at the moment than there is Neo Genesis.
Yeah, I think ever since Suzu left, New Genesis is still crushing it, but you take a main
Yeah.
eventer like Suzuki. because there's only 4 members of Neo Genesis. So, yeah, you got a point. There's a lot of firepower there at Ami Sohrei back. Hina having that phenomenal run as future
That's been a
Stardom
huge
champion.
thing, hasn't it? I'll be
Shuri,
sorry coming back.
we talk. There's a lot of discourse online about like who's the best women's wrestler this year, and obviously it's Mercedes and Sai Kamitani and Toni Storm and Io and Rhea Ripley. And there's so many great wrestlers that like Shuri gets lost in the shuffle. Like she's had 2 of the greatest matches all year this year with the Sari, well, actually the 2 Sari matches, and then the Mayu match where she wins the IWGP. So let's put a lot of respect on Shuri's name here. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Rana's been killing it as well. Kyoto Katachi has been great. Ami Sohrei and Lady C as a tag team and singles ever since Ami's return. And and again, we're going to get into it a little bit. Ami Sohrei getting her second, or excuse me, Lady C getting her second title shot in Stardom this year, which is great because she kind of just floundered there for a year or two. We kind of, just to dip back into this match here, partner. We talked about when Sari came into Stardom that she was flanked with Miku Kanai and Chi-Chi. Like we'd see them holding the ropes open for her and seconding her. Like, hopefully we see Miku Kanai and Chi-Chi participating and starting a little bit more because they kind of did some of the New Blood stuff, some of the other stuff, but we do see them a lot participating in Sendai Girls, which, by the way, we do cover Sendai Girls on Talk Joshi. Please give us a follow over there. Cheap plug. And the fact when this match was, they literally announced like this match, and then like, oh, by the way, it's leading into the King of Pro Wrestling match. I was like, oh boy, this is, great 1-2 punch, literally last minute, literally the final hour. Obviously, the crux of this match was Sari versus Shuri to build towards that match that they had at King of Pro Wrestling. And we only got a little bit, but you're right. Chi-Chi, phenomenal. Miku Kanai, phenomenal. Hina and Ronda Yugami really got over. Literally the point where it's like, I hope this breaks down, Rob, into a Chi-Chi and Miku Kanai tag match versus Hina and Ronda Yugami. Because that's the match obviously the match coming out of this that I want to see that we did wind up seeing. We talked about an hour earlier, is Shuri versus Sari, basically the third match in their rivalry. But I tell you what, Chi-Chi, Miku Kanai, Hina, and Rana, they took advantage of the spot that they had. Considering you have 2 big main eventers in this match, all eyes were on them, but they did not go unnoticed. Hina, Rana, Miku, and Chi-Chi, they didn't go unnoticed at all. Towards the end there, you do get a Shuri giving Miku Kanai a lot. Like, I know where this is going to go. Miku Kanai getting a lot of near falls on Shuri. Shuri bumping, feeding, selling for Miku Kanai. And it's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. Shuri with the running knee, the half-out suplex, and just breaks down poor Miku Kanai and then submits her with the White Tiger, the grounded Suzaku. We're getting really great stuff. 3 3/4 stars for me. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I wish we would have went a little bit longer with these 6 fantastic wrestlers, but you knew what the whole crux of this match was.
Oh, moving on. Hazuki versus Koguma, my favorite match of the weekend. Probably my favorite match. Oh, I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Shiori and Sari. And I really enjoyed Shiori and Sari. Hazuki, we level praise at this woman on a regular basis. And it boggles my mind that Stardom have not strapped a rocket to this woman. It really, really does. How she has not held a white belt, a red belt, okay, fine, but a white belt, how she hasn't held it, I've got no idea. Repeatedly, the most consistent competitor in Stardom. But we need to talk about Koguma. Like, okay, she does comedy well. Okay, yes, she's got the bear gimmick, and yes, on those house shows in the undercard 6-woman tags, that has a place, and absolutely, she does it really well. But when she's given that tap on the shoulder to just have a singles match, a straight up singles match, holy mother of God. Like, I'm not joking. Some of those German suplexes she hit Hazuki with, like, good Lord. I mean, you've said before on this podcast, you hit your enemies hard, you hit your friends harder. And these two must be inseparable because the way these two went at each other, like, there was about 2 minutes into the match, and Hazuki hits a drop kick to the back of Koguma while Koguma sat in the middle of the ring. And I thought, oh, that's stiff. That is stiff. And then Koguma hauls Hazuki into these 2 released German suplexes. And I'm like, oh, we are on. Oh, we are. So I thought, Matt, this was such an enjoyable match. Thoroughly enjoyed this. Again, why? Why have we not strapped a rocket to Hazuki? Koguma, we need to put respect on her name. She is so much more, as we've said before, she's so much more than a comedy wrestler. Yes, she does comedy really well, but she is so good in the ring. And actually, as good as the 2025 5-star was, I think it did miss something without Hazuki. it did. That's just my honest opinion.
It's Suzuki. It doesn't
It
matter. I can have a
exactly.
I can have a steak dinner. My wife would be like, "I made you steak. I got you sweet potatoes. I got you broccoli. What's it missing? Hazuki." You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I know Kirsty's gonna say, "Rob, how was the podcast? It was great. Me and Matt was it missing anything?
Mhm.
Hazuki. Hazuki just
Hazuki,
happened. We talked
absolutely.
about it. Everything in your life. How
Mhm.
was your bonus? Hey, it was really good. Was it missing anything? Hazuki.
Hazuki.
Hazuki's all everything in life can be better with Hazuki. How was your ice cream sandwich? Terrific. Wish I had more Hazuki.
Absolutely, absolutely. Why this show isn't called a Hazuki Cast by this point, I don't know. And that's why I wanted to make it very abundantly clear that it takes two to tango. We know that Hazuki is great, but Koguma is so underrated in ring. And again, this is the perfect encapsulation of why she's so underrated in ring.
Rob, a lot to talk about here. I agree. This was my number one match for my top five favorite my top five favorite matches from this past week. I like this better than the IYO and Kairi stuff, which was all great. I totally agree with you. I like this a little bit better than Sherry versus Suri. Um, really great stuff. I'm going to throw a question out there. I think I know your answer. Is this Kaguma's best singles match?
Ooh.
I know we like the Utami match on the final night of the 2022 five-star Grand Prix, and I know that match she beats Io for the high speed was
Yeah,
really
that
good.
was the one. That's the one. And actually, Alex of the Stardom Quest put something really interesting out on Twitter. Apparently, she was known as like a young Okada. Like, that's how she was billed in her first run before she left. So there was always that knowledge in early in her run that she could go. And obviously, again, like we've seen what she's done with the high speed title, but it has sort of boiled down to comedy a lot in recent years, and that's fine. Again, you can't push everyone as balls to the wall main eventers, but yeah, I think this is, if it's not one, it's certainly the second best Koguma singles match. But for me, and again, it might be recency bias, for me, this is the best I've seen Koguma in ring. She legitimately looked absolutely fantastic in this match.
The reason why I say singles is because her and Hazuki, their catalog
Oh
of
well,
tag
yeah,
matches, they're
absolutely,
just like
yeah.
obviously like we put Thunder Rock and Aphrodite are up there, but they only had like that one, year and a half where these two have been teaming pretty much all the time for the last 3 years and just
Yeah.
absolutely crushing it. So I mean, their catalog's just crazy. You talk about Hazuki, and again, I always say I don't have a favorite wrestler, but if I'm forced to pick one, it's Hazuki, and I think a lot of it has to do
Mhm.
with the fact that like always a bridesmaid, never a bride, and she can easily be one of the top stars of this company for a lot of reasons. You take a look. If you think about the Friday Night Gotcha show the day before, they wrestled. By they, I mean Hazuki and Kogama's FWC wrestled Ihozan and Senka in a phenomenal match as a tag team. And then 24 hours later, they come and they have a match of the year candidate in Korakuen Hall. One of the best matches we have seen all month, which is saying something. So again, you look how great they are as a tag team and then a singles. And then obviously, again, Kagama, she really brought it here, but Hazuki made sure that she got over. Even though Hazuki got the win, which we are like, oh, Kagama's winning because it's not for the Spark Joshi championship. I was like, she's going to win here. But even though Hazuki did get the win, Kagama's the one that everybody's talking about. She's
Absolutely.
the one that everybody's talking about. I mean, you look just the insanity of this match. It starts off with Hazuki gets the advantage. She goes for the boot scrapes. Koguma cuts her off with the Koguma cutter, does boot scrapes of her own. Match goes to the floor. Hazuki does the senton that she does for a finish, but she did it as a dive. You know how dangerous that is?
To the outside, it was so like
I've never seen that before. It's one thing if you do it like from the back, like almost like Darby Allin's coffin drop. You can catch it that way.
mm,
But when you're jumping that way, and it was again, obviously I was in New York and I watched this on the morning that it happened. And I was talking to Andy Head. I said, "Do you see this yet?" I said, "No." I said, "When you go back to your hotel, load up whatever device you have over there. You need to watch this match. This
yeah,
was insane." I said, and I told her what she did. Andy Head was obviously a high flyer. He's like, "How is that physically possible?" I'm like, "I don't know." There are so many great near falls. The way this was built up, this was a big championship match. There's some really great stuff back and forth. Hazuki tries for the top rope superplex. Koguma does that insane one leap snap code red, which I think is the exact way she beat Io to win the high speed
mm,
championship. If not, I think it was right up there. Some really excellent stuff. Hazuki hitting a new move we've never seen before. Is they basically a cross-legged Emerald Frozen. I was like, wow, Hazuki's really bringing out the big guns. And then you're right, Koguma with those German suplexes. We've seen them from time to time. She doesn't bring them out that much, but these releases, Suzuki was taking these things high on her neck. I mean, the way that she was
Really
bumping,
high.
when they were just really, really dangerous. Hazuki then comes back with a Hazuki straw for a 2 count. Koguma comes up, and then Koguma turns around, eats a boot right to the face. Hazuki pours it on, hits a sheer drop brainbuster. Koguma kicks out at 1. Living the dream, kicking out at 1. I'm like, which way is this going to go? Hazuki hits the Hazuki driver and then hits a top rope senton for a 2 count. She then hits a brain bust, another brain buster. That scores her a 2 count. Koguma comes back, stacking the Hazuki straw, which that was a great falsy. Kuma roll, a great falsy there. Everybody was biting on it. Korakuen Hall was losing their minds. And then Hazuki hits another pump kick and then another brain. When she hit that brain buster, I'm like, that's got to be the finish. As much as I thought Koguma was going to win this match, I'm like, this is the high point of this match. That has to be the finish. Gets the 3 count, 4 3/4 stars. Absolutely next level stuff. Now, Rob, to talk about maybe the possible booking of Hazuki. And I'm not going to tell Taro Cod and whoever else is helping them in the booking committee how to book, because what they've been doing this year and year and change is unbelievable. Again, all the wrestlers that they lost, and they're hotter than ever. Is it possible that they kind of looked at Hazuki and Koguma and said, we are so stacked at the main event scene with Shuri. We're bringing Suri in, and we're going to push Momo Watanabe and Starlight Kid and Azumi. We have Saya Kamitani. Then rather have you two just kind of flounder in the middle. Why don't you guys go and do your own stuff? And then when the time and get more eyes on you, and then when the time is right, we'll bring you guys back, whether it's a package deal or a single deal. I mean, right now we saw this morning as it's recording, they were doing some talk show in Mexico because they're going to be in that CMLL Grand Prix. So the fact they're on like some talk show in Mexico, clearly more eyes on them. Get Hazuki over more to the United States, spark Joshi champion. I know they don't run that much as we'd like them to. Maybe that's the deal. Maybe it's like, look, we don't have anything major for them. Instead of them just kind of floundering here, kind of the mid-card scene, let them go to Oz Academy. Let them go to Sendai Girls. Let them go and work pro wrestling gotcha. Let them do all this other stuff. And then when the time is right, we'll bring them back because there's more eyes on them. Again, instead of them having a 4-minute match in KBS Hall, let them go work somewhere in the United States where they're going to wrestle 20 minutes. Let them go where they're going to wrestle the Marvelous, the people from Marvelous, for almost 20 minutes. And we did see a picture backstage with Hazuki and Takumi Iroha. I'm sure everybody else was thinking it, like, let's have that match. There's a lot they can do because they're worldwide FWC, that when the time is right. And again, maybe this is just my positive thinking. When the time is right, love me some Koguma. But when the time is right, white belt reign for Hazuki. Rob Goodwin, 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row in Philadelphia and in Vegas. We met Taro Okada, took pictures, put them on social media, and I can't tell you how many times people are like, tell them book Hazuki better. White belt run for Hazuki. White belt run for Hazuki. That's got to be the end goal. Again, maybe just the time's not right. And you don't take the belt off Starlight Kid, not just yet, because she is white hot. Pun definitely intended. I just think that's the way that they're building it, is they're getting more worldwide eyes on these two, especially Hazuki. But again, Koguma now is in a different category coming off this match. Again, she was great. She leveled up beyond belief. But Hazuki knew her role in this match was to make her friend look really, really good. And that's exactly what she did, which that is just a credit to how great the Wild Heart is, buddy. You get 4 3/4 stars. My favorite match that I've seen in all of wrestling over the past week or two.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And it's interesting because obviously Hazuki and Starlight Kid started interacting on Twitter. I do think that we could potentially be running Starlight Kid and Rena again at Ryogoku, which again, like, I don't think there is a single person in the history of the world that would argue with that as a match at Ryogoku. But if they don't, I'd love to see Starlight Kid and Hazuki. I really, really would. Not only because we'll be there and we'll be, the most vocal Hazuki fans in Tokyo, but also because, again, you talk about deserved and earned. Hazuki is more than earned. At least, even if it's only a couple of months, she's earned the right to hold that white belt because, good God, her canon of matches is just unreal.
If she doesn't do it at Sumo Hall, maybe they hold off for the those Golden Week shows, because they always do the final show in Fukuoka.
Fukuoka, yeah.
And that would be the biggest reaction, because if you do Hazuki versus Starlight Kid and Hazuki wins the white belt, right? Oh, huge. The next match you have is Sai Kamitani versus any member of the roster, And that's what everybody's probably going to remember because it's Saya Kamitani. If you do Hazuki in the main event for the white belt in May, because usually that's when the end of Golden Week is, maybe it's more of a reaction. I'll be honest, at this point, I'll take Saya Kamitani winning the white belt in front of 40 people at this point. I just want it to happen. But at the same time, we're going to get the most bang for your buck, the most memorable moment, as I think that if you do it in Fukuoka in the main event, getting 25, 26, 27 minutes against a Starlight Kid or Arena or whoever. But again, that's just me.
That's a point even. That'd be great as
Ooh.
well. Main event then, Goddesses of Stardom Championships on the line. BMI 2000 retaining in their first title defense. Bit of shenanigans in this match. We knew it would be. And again, my eyes are going all over the place from this graphic because not only have we got an absolutely alarming background, but mix that with the orange tie-dye shirts of BMI 2000, it's a migraine waiting to happen. Yeah, again, this was a good match. But again, I felt like there was just, again, I think the shenanigans hindered it a little bit. We kept Amisori strong by, again, the weapon shot, the mist, and then the swanton. Again, we kept her strong. It felt very much like a routine defense for BMI 2000. Raiwa Tokyo Towers will come back from this. They're my early pick to win the tag league. But again, as we've said before, I think there is more that these two teams can do. Post-match, there was a couple of interesting angles. Obviously, we know that Mavida Loca came out and challenged next for the belt. We know that that is going to happen now at the next Korakuen Hall show on the 27th. However, following that, they were confronted in ring by Mayumi Ozaki. Now, there is a multi-woman elimination match between Hate and members of Oz Academy at the Oz Academy Yokohama Budokan event, which is this Sunday. Judgment Waltz, Yokohama Budokan. It's, again, a elimination match. There are stipulations already that if Mayumi Ozaki's team loses, she must join Hate as their lowest ranked member. However, the stipulation that has now been added, which I feel like probably should have been added before, is that Ruaka ran off with the Oz Academy Championship, the Openweight Championship. She has to return it if Oz Academy win. Feel like that should have been the first thing that was put as a stipulation for this match. Return our damn title.
I hope she puts it in the hay crate, and then when she goes, because she's been throwing that thing since the Uedatai days, and then when maybe she goes to throw it and she forgets about it weighs heavier because there's a belt, so she goes to throw it and it comes up short, and then Tora goes to get it and then gets rolled up. I always had a stipulation around if I ever did a death match. If I ever did a death match, the finish needs to be the person gets a weed whacker and they go to the weed whacker spot, but it's plugged in. And they go and they're getting ready to hit me with it, and then it stops, and they look like that it was unplugged, and then I roll them up because fundamentals in wrestling, buddy.
Fundamentals, exactly.
Fundamentals.
They're not just there for the fun, my friend.
Well, fun. It can be fundamentals. Anywho, this match, yeah, it was solid. You knew kind of what was going to happen. I'm looking at my notes and can tell how much I loved Koguma in the last match because my first note is Lady C and Koguma have a big lockup, and I was like, that didn't happen.
Just inventing parts of the match now.
Yeah, I know. It's phenomenal. I thought Lady C and Amisori here were absolutely terrific. They're going to have a great run, and we're assuming they're going to be teamed up in the Goddess Tournament, and rightfully so, because I think they'll get a monster push and be one of the early favorites to win. This was a good, solid V1 for BMI 2000. Not only that, about 1,400 people on this show are attended this show. So them in the main event, more eyes on the heel team that is BMI 2000. You're right. Lady C here was terrific. Amisori as well. Amisori just running through, firing up a lot of the BMI 2000 teamwork. Amisori looked like an absolute star, especially coming off that great performance in a return to stardom at the 5-star Grand Prix. She does a post dive, Lucha Amisori. Sure, why not? And it made sense and looked really cool. So awesome for her. Again, really great stuff with Lady C. You kind of just knew it was coming, Rob. Once they start building up, here comes the shenanigans. Here comes some of the cheating. So you knew ultimately was going to happen. It just poured on again, and again. However, not in front of the referee. Got the proper heat. You got sympathy on Amisori and Lady C because they were so close to winning this match a few times. only to get cheated out of the belts, which is the ultimate reaction you want to have. Again, nothing happened in front of the referee, so the heat didn't go on the ref. It went on Tor and Ruaka, rightfully so. Then that gives the babyface sympathy over to Ami and Lady C. So even though that they lost, they come out of this match looking a little bit better because they were cheated out of those tag belts. So again, great psychology, simple story to tell, and it absolutely made sense. Eventually, though, it was just so much double teaming. They hit the old, by they I mean BMI 2000 did the old Backseat Boys T gimmick. Shout outs to Johnny Casimir and the late great Trent Acid, who was always a trip being in the locker room with. And then a big lariat and the chair shot. And of course, like the miss that you said before, on to Ami Sourei, getting the 3 count. 4.25 stars for me. Again, it was really tough to outdo the match we saw before, as we talked about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they did a good job kind of having a different match, tag match, cheating formula, however, not cheating in front of the referee. Always gets a big thumbs up for me. A really great 2 matches to end a fantastic Korakuen show, my friend.
Absolutely. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to say that we have still got 2 house shows to run through. However, we are speed running these house shows because
Like
we have
Sonic.
got
Like Sonic.
absolutely. See, linking, it's all linked. Simply because, as I'm sure you remember, we have got an absolute mammoth IYO and Kairi watch as well. And this podcast is going to be about 18 and a half hours otherwise. So we are going to speed run it. We are going to Kofu on the 12th of October. The venue, the IMES in Yamanashi in Kofu. The announced attendance 423, which is the company's highest at the venue. First time Stardom have run the venue since 2022, and it's a 14.02% increase on that show, which they drew 371 on the 22nd of May, which was their previous highest, though it is the 3rd time the company have actually run this venue. Just a reminder, Suzu Suzuki still remains out with an injury, despite having done a death match with Jun Kasai and bleeding buckets. But again, injuries still keep her out. Azumi still missing for these shows. Hanan still missing for these shows. B. Priestley still in the United States. And there's even more missing for the show on the 13th as well, which we will go through. In terms of the results then, tag team action, Cosmic Angels, Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora defeated the Stars team of Saya Ida and Momokogo. Aya Sakura rolling up Momokogo with the Sakurachi in 8 minutes and 37 seconds. Tag team match, Fukuoka Double Crazy, Hazuki and Koguma defeated Kikyo Furusawa and Emma Maishima, with Hazuki submitting Kikyo with the Hazuki lock in 7 minutes and 22 seconds. In a singles match, Ronnie Yagami defeated Uriah Hime with the armbar in 8 minutes and 26 seconds. 6-woman tag match, Cosmic Angels, Natsupoi Sioriano and Yuna Mizumori defeated the Hate team of Saya Kamitani, Momo Watanabe and Azusa Inaba. Yuna pinning Azusa with a Supergirl in 10 minutes and 38 seconds. Another 6-woman tag, the God's Eye team of Lady C, Amisori, and Hina defeated the EXV trio of Hanako, Waka, Tsukiyama, and Rian. Lady C flattening Rian with the best big boot in the business in 10 minutes and 37 seconds. 8-woman tag, Mavida Loca, everything is fine in Mavida Loca. Let's not talk about it. Bozilla, Akira Kuragane, Rini Yamashita, and Itsuki Aoki defeated the Hate team of Natsuko Tora, Ruaka, Konami, and Rina, with Itsuki Aoki pinning Ruaka with the Dust Ring 2 in 12 minutes and 23 seconds. And then in your main event, we had the God's Eye team of Shiori Saki Kashima and Tomoka Inaba defeating the Neo Genesis team of Starlight Kid, Miyu Amasaki, and Mei Seira. Shiori pinning Miyu with the Royen in 12 minutes and 54 seconds. Matt Turner, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to go through these matches as quickly as possible. Let's start with that opener, Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora versus Saya Ida and Momokogo.
I always say you want to start your match off with a hot opener, and this was great. Again, Saida, to me, her and Hanan are the tag team of the year in all of wrestling. Obviously, Hanan out with an injury. Her and Momo Kogo work really well together. Again, Mayu no longer with Stars, but Stars is still absolutely crushing it. They were great, and I love the pairing of Aya and Sayaka. Again, I believe they debuted right around the same time. Really excellent stuff here. There was some great stuff with with Aya and Saida, the chops, the kicks, excellent stuff there. And then we kind of pick up the pace with Sayaka and Momo Kogo, kind of your quicker, more explosive wrestlers. Really great stuff between four great, fantastic wrestlers representing two great factions. I had this one at 3 3/4 stars, obviously, with Aya Sakura getting the win over one Momo Kogo.
Yeah, again, obviously Star's struggling at the moment for numbers simply because Hannon's injured and B. Priestley is back at home for the time being. I think Sayurida is doing a great job as sort of a leader, a transitional leader, let's say, whilst Hannon is out. She's sort of the person around which the entire Stars faction circles at the moment. Hazuki and Koguma again picking up a victory over Emma Maishima and Kikyo. Hazuki bringing out the crossface she's dubbed the Hazuki lock, which we don't see her winning many matches with, but did submit Kikyo here. How did the rookies deal with FWC, Matt?
They were great, and obviously FWC gave them a lot in this match. It was almost like a 60-40 match to the rookies, which you knew eventually what was going to happen. Hazuki was going to drop the hammer. Again, Emma belongs in the high-speed division. She was opposite two former high-speed champions in this match. And there's a lot of great high-speed stuff. Obviously, Kikyo's terrific. Her transitionings, her footwork, her ring work, like where her ring positioning is really second to none. I like this team of Emma and Kikyo as a team. I would like to see them maybe in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League if it makes sense. Ultimately, though, it's just from some phenomenal tag team wrestling for one of the best tag teams we've seen in wrestling over the last 3 years of just Hazuki and Koguma. Again, really great, entertaining match. Again, Hazuki really showing why she's one of the best in the world on these three shows, buddy. 3 3/4 stars for me. Really great stuff. And again, Hazuki really getting over her submission skills in this match.
You mentioned it at Korakuen Hall, Matt. Uriah Himi really improving every time she's in the ring. And I think this singles match with Rana really encapsulated this because, again, just on a random house show in Kofu, we got a really good singles match and another indication of just how much Uriah Himi and just how quickly Uriah Himi is improving because it is getting to a point where it's like, whoa, she's going to be really good really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years and she's leading this great match with Uriah Himi. Again, Uriah's been wrestling less than a year, and Rana's about a year and change in. I mentioned, I think, last week or the week before, I would not be shocked to see in the next 8 to 10 months Rana challenging for one of the big singles belts in Stardom, whether it's IWGP, whether it's Red, or whether it's White, because she's fantastic. This was great. Again, obviously, she's leading this match with Uriah Himi, but Uriah Himi would follow along really well. Again, great hard-hitting action between these two with Uriah Himi with the boots, Rana with the forearms and the kicks. Just some really great back and forth stuff between the two. They didn't overcomplicate it, but ultimately is Rana using those kicks to set up that cross arm breaker, forcing Uriah Himi for the tap out. Another 3 3/4 star match for me, my friend.
It was a really solid show, this one, as was the show in Joetsu, considering the amount of talent they actually had missing on that show, which is wild. We'll go through it in a moment. Moving on then, 6-woman tag Cosmic Angels versus Hate. Again, Matt, I'm just going to manifest it into the world. Saori and Saya Kamitani. I've got a feeling. I can't quite describe it. I've got a feeling that it is going to happen.
I'm all for that because we really, really want to see that again. They can plug anything into anybody wrestling Saya Kamitani. It's going to work, especially Soriano, who's a big star. And again, even if when that match does happen, hopefully if it does, that even if Saya Kamitani gets the win, which we think she will, it's going to make Soriano a bigger star because she's never challenged for the World of Stardom Championship before. I mentioned on the last show, I'm going to mention again. I want to see Saya Kamitani and Momo Watanabe versus Sori Poi. We saw little flashes of it here. I thought they were great. Obviously, you were big stars in this match, or Sori Poi, Kamitani, and Momo Watanabe. They all look great. Great stuff here. Obviously, the advantage when it comes to tag team wrestling clearly goes to Sori Poi. Eventually, they kind of almost take each other out, and they let Yuna and Azusa almost have this mini match, which was really good. It was counter for counter, strike for strike. Who's going to get the better of the two? It's just Yuna using her experience to get the Superwoman onto Azusa Inaba. This was great. If you're pressed for time and only have a few matches to watch, definitely make this one because this was great. Again, Yuna getting a big win here, hopefully building herself back up to get that high-speed championship challenge. 4 stars for me, good friend.
Moving on again, then we have another 6-woman tag with God's Eye again, continuing that momentum against EXV. And again, Lady C utilizing what I will repeatedly say should be her finisher with that thumping big boot. And Matt, again, we've talked about Lady C, we've talked about Ami Sori, we talked about Ronnie Yagami, but Hina is another one who is developing at a rapid rate of knots.
Yeah, Hina was great here again. And again, I'm loving this EXV trio of Waka, Rion, and Hanako. And again, I love it when they start building their momentum and then they do the Waka and Rion, they do the leapfrog spot over Hanako to either hit the earthquake style splash or Rina with that double stuff. I think it's really cool. And you really don't see anybody do it. Again, this was a great bounce back for Ami Sori and Lady C after their Cork and Hall main event loss. I thought they looked terrific. Again, Hina and Hanako, we know that they had that match for the Future Stardom Championship with Hanako did coming out the winner. To me, it seemed like that rivalry is not done, which I'm all for because they have really great chemistry. They made it all work. Speaking of making it work, Lady C makes it work with that giant boot, hitting poor Stone Cold Rion, getting the win. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Moving on, then, Mi Vida Loca versus Hate in our semi-main event. And again, Natsuki Aoki getting the win over Ruaka, setting up for that Goddesses of Stardom Tag League Championships match. Matt, what were your thoughts on this one?
No, we mentioned before, like Hina and Konami, they have really great chemistry together. And obviously, we know that they are 2/3 of the Artists of Stardom champions, with obviously Fuki and Death. Obviously, Bozilla, she's very dominant here, and Akira is really another one rapidly really developing. Again, look who you're in the ring with, look who you're teaming with, look who you're across the ring with. You're only going to get better. But this match was all about building up to that championship match we have coming up in a few weeks' time with Arena and Aoki versus BMI 2000. That was your home driver, and rightfully so. That's basically what you wanted to do because you got little glimpse of singles matches and tag matches between those four, making me really excited for their championship match coming up in Cork and Hall again at the end of this month. So that was clearly the plan going on, and they hit an absolute home run. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Main event time then, and this match was fantastic. Neo Genesis versus God's Eye, Syuri Tomoka Inaba and Saki Kashima. Matt, obviously, with Azumi out of action, currently Starlight Kid taking up the mantle with Mei Seira and Miyu Amasaki, and this trio are fantastic together.
Yeah, again, this was a great way to end a great show. And you have two big stars in there in as your, your main event. Shuri, obviously former World of Stardom champion, Starlight Kid, in my opinion, again, second biggest star in this company, current Wonder of Stardom champion. Miyu Amasaki, post 5 stars, really ramping up her game. And Mei Seira is low-key one of the best wrestlers in this loaded company. Obviously, you have Tomoka Inaba, which we absolutely love. And then you got the straw that stirs the drink and Saki Kashima, the wild card.
Absolutely.
The absolute wild card. Again, really great Starlight Kid and Miyu Amasaki, the way they work together. It's just like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I didn't realize that if they're the team in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, I'm not going to say no. Then obviously we get Azumi and Mei Seira then. But there was just some really great stuff with Starlight Kid and Shuri. We've seen them in 5-star Grand Prix before. Just have absolute bangers. Tomoka Inaba and Mei Seira as well. We've seen them in the last 2 5-star Grand Prix in the same block. They have really great chemistry. But again, Miyu Amasaki really upping her game. And Saki Kashima picking her spots because you're seeing all this really great stuff, but you never know when Saki's going to come in and steal it, which I thought really made it for a really, really fun match. Ultimately, though, is Shuri singling out Miyu Amasaki. And again, Shuri giving Miyu Amasaki a lot to work with, very much like she did with Miku Kunai back in the Corkin show we just reviewed. Obviously, Shuri giving Miyu a lot in the bumping, the feeding, the strikes, making Miyu look like a threat, ultimately to put her away with the buzzsaw kick and the Ruin. 4 stars for me, my friend. This was my favorite match from this show.
Yeah, I mind. It was a great match. It really was. But there was some really good little nuggets to take from the show. I thought Rana versus Uriah Himi was really good. And I thought that tag match, Fukuoka Double Crazy versus the two rookies, Kikyo and Emma, was really good as well. And again, watching Mavida Loca and Hate just sort of bash into each other like a child playing with wrestling figures was just great. Really enjoy that. And that's what
Like
they
me.
do the best. Like you, exactly.
Now, I mean me now, 43 years old.
We move on then to Joe Etsu on the 13th of October, this last Monday. The attendance inside Duo Cerezo in Joatsu was 415 people. Now, this is the lowest attendance Stardom have drawn to the venue of the 4 times they have run it previously. It's a 2.5 2.58, easy for me to say, percent decrease from the last time they ran there when they drew 426 on night 15 of last year's Goddess of Stardom Tag League. It is worth noting that this show ran at the exact same time or on the exact same day as a Marigold Korakuen and the New Japan King of Pro Wrestling show. So bear that in mind. On top of that, bear in mind that this show had no Natsupoi, no Saori Anou, no Syuri, no Azumi, no Maika, no Suzu Suzuki. So there's a lot of talent missing from this card. Natsupoi and Saori Anou both absent because they were taking part on Tei Honma's retirement show. Syuri obviously wrestling for the IWGP Women's Championship at King of Pro Wrestling. Azumi still out with injuries, as is Suzu Suzuki. Both those two women out of the announced cards coming up on the 16th, 17th, and 19th as well. So
no Repo Man, no Mountie, Killer Bees, and Demolition as well. And Doctor Style Slick, most notably, the Doctor Style Slick.
There you go. And that is the most important thing there. Just running through these results then. We opened with a 6-woman tag team match. Tomoka Inaba, Hina, and Kikyo Furusawa defeated Hazuki Koguma and Emma Maishima. Hina pinning Emma with the modified jackhammer in 10 minutes and 44 seconds. 3-way match. Sayurida defeating Lady C and Rian with the Ida Bashi. Sayurida pinning Rian in 8 minutes and 13 seconds. Tag team match, Rice or Bread, Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama defeated Peach and Lily, Momokogo and Uriah Hime in what could very well be a tag league preview. Waka Tsukiyama getting the win over Uriah Hime with Smelt in 11 minutes and 27 seconds. Honestly, my favorite move name that Waka Tsukiyama has. 6-woman tag action next. Neo Genesis, Starlight Kid, Meisera, and Miyo Amasaki defeated the hate team of Konami, Rina, and Azusa Inaba. Starlight Kid submitting Konami with the Black Tiger leg killer in 11 minutes and 4 seconds. Semi-main event, 6-woman tag action. The God's Eye team of Saki Kashima, Ron Yagami, and Amisori defeated the Cosmic Angels team of Yuna Mizumori, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurora. Saki Kashima pinning Sayaka Kurora with the Kish Kasai in 11 minutes and 19 seconds. Furious Saki Kashima was that Sayaka Kurora lied to her face. However, she has informed everyone that she still loves Aya Sakura. 8-woman tag match, main event, hate team of Natsuko Tora, Saya Kamitani, Momo Watanabe, and Ruaka defeated Mivida Loca, Bozilla, the homecoming person, Akira Kuragane, Itsuki Aoki, and Rini Yamashita, with Natsuko Tora getting the pinfall over Akira with the diving body press. Matt, you did well with your previous show. Let's see if we can get through this one as quickly. We open with that 6-woman tag. What did you think of this one, my friend?
Again, FWC really great here. They did a great job putting Emma, giving her offense and putting it in great spots. I mean, obviously, once this match started, there's one thing I wanted to see, other than great wrestling, so 2 things, but Hazuki and Tomoka Inaba violence. And Inaba really brought on Hazuki. There's a lot of really stiff shots, and Hazuki only got 1 or 2 in. Again, Kikyo I thought was terrific here. They put her offense in really well. Ultimately, though, it is just some really, really great teamwork from Hazuki and Koguma that get the advantage for a team, but then we almost get a FWC versus Tomoka Inaba and Hina. They basically take each other out. And then we have Hina coming in and taking out Emma with the Northern Lights jackhammer. Again, really great match. I really want to see Hazuki versus Tomoka Inaba because I think everybody wants to see that. You always want to start your show off with a hot opener. This is a hot opener. 3 3/4 stars.
The 3-way then, Saya Ida, Lady C, and Rian. I do like the fact that they've deliberately made Lady C bigger on this graphic just to emphasize the height difference. Of course, it didn't matter. Sayurida getting the win with the Ida Bashi over Rian. And again, it's your standard house show fare when it comes to the 3-way here, Matt. But I know for a fact that you will have enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I mean, the 3-weights always seem to be really good, but this one just seemed to be a little bit better. There was the striking exchange between Lady C and Saya Ida were phenomenal. Like those chops that Ida, and then Rian's like, I want to get in on this. And then I think she instantly regretted because they just start beating up poor Rian. But then Rian towards the end really makes her comeback, with the RKO, the Rian cutter, the corner run into the drop kick. Like Rihanna really starts building up her offense on this after she was really kind of getting her butt kicked from the elder statesman in this match with Lady C and Saida. And then it looks like that Rihan's going to put away. I love this finish. It looks like she's going to put away Saida. She goes for the apricot before she can do the actual twisting bump. Lady C just comes running off the rope and just clears the head of Rihanna. I was like, oh my God. And then Lady C turns around and then she almost gets her head taken off from a lariat from Saeed. And the Saeed is like, okay, Itabashi. So you have this like hard hitting match, and you have boom, big kick almost taking out Rion. And then Lady C turns around and boom, big lariat takes out Lady C. And then Saeed is like, yeah, Itabashi. I thought this is great, really great hard hitting stuff, right up my alley. And again, Rion showing a lot of fire in this match. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Did you see what Lady C put on social media? The state of her chest after this.
Yeah,
She
with like
showed it
hamburger meat.
immediately after. Yeah, immediately after the match, and then about, I think it might have been a day later, she was a mess. Sayarida made a mess of Lady C's chest. Again, two teams that we are probably going to see in the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League. What were your thoughts, Matt? Are you excited to see Rice or Bread and what Peach and Lily can do in the Tag League this year?
Again, Momo Kogo and Uriah Hime, they have instant chemistry and they're only getting better. I think that it'd be best for both these wrestlers for them to be in the tag league because they're going to be wrestling the Suroi Boys, the Wingories, the however you cut up the God's Eye teams and the Hate team, depending on what brackets they're going to be in. They're only going to get better because they're working really great as a tag team. I'm really entertained by what they're doing. And obviously Waka and Hanako, again, they're 2/3 of EXV holding up this faction with all of the injuries. This was a solid match. I think they had a better match in them. Maybe we will see that in the tag league. Still, I still had it 3.5 stars. I loved the teamwork of Peach and Lily. Momo Kogan and Raihimi, they're working really, really well together. Ultimately, though, it was just Hanako, just too much brute force onto the young Uriah Hime, putting her away 3.5 stars.
Moving on, the 6-woman tag, and we saw a little preview of what we can expect at Crimson Nightmare. Starlight Kid submitting Konami with the Black Tiger leg killer. Of course, we've said that Starlight Kid is going to go all the way through to Ryogoku. There is every chance that Konami might end Starlight Kid's run prematurely. But what were your thoughts of this, and did it whet your appetite for what is coming up in Ota Ward on the 3rd of November?
Yeah, absolutely. And I made mention to you off air when we're like, Konami's getting another shot again. I'm like, it makes sense because Crimson Nightmare, they're doing pretty much an all hate thing. Remember, as great as their match was by them, Konami and Starlight Kid, as great as their white belt match was at the Cinderella tournament, Starlight Kid was being held together with duct tape and bubblegum at that point and still put on a great match. So, and again, Konami's on an absolute run. Starlight Kid is as close to 100% as she will be and putting on great matches. So I'm thoroughly pumped for that rematch that we're getting in a few weeks' time. And I was really pumped for this match. You start off with your great Neo Genesis fast teamwork, double teams, triple teams, really great stuff. Ultimately, though, it is Konami that just stops Miyu Amasaki in her tracks, and you get Miyu Amasaki on the cell. You're building sympathy on Miyu Amasaki. At the same time, you're showing what a killer Konami is. Now, Azusa got in there, got her stuff. Rina got in and got their stuff. It's all about building Konami up in this match to be a threat. May Sarah comes in the ring, she gets tagged in, and they tease it, and eventually she hits it that one jump, one leap, Joshi style dropkick. She tries to go for it onto Konami and Azusa Inaba, but Rina stops it, and then eventually May takes out Rina, and then May does that. I still have no idea how she does it, where you're literally just running full speed. She stops, jumps 180 onto the second rope, which is when you're in the middle of the rope, there's no really support there. On the turnbuckle, you have the post. The middle of the rope is where you have less balance, but May Sarah always makes it look easy. Really great stuff there. Again, the great teamwork with Starlight Kid and Miyu Amasaki was really shown well here, as well as the teamwork of not only Devil Princess of Rina and Azusa Inaba, but again, Rina and Konami. Would not mind see if they're the team representing Hate in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. And then we get this little bit of mini match between Starlight Kid and Konami, which absolutely whet my appetite for what we have coming up in a few weeks' time. Interesting seeing Starlight Kid tapping out Konami here. I thought that was really, really interesting. Obviously, Konami did tap out Starlight Kid to win the artist belt, so kind of going 1-for-1 there. Again, really great stuff. My second favorite match from the show, 4 stars for me.
Moving on then to your semi-main event and the emphatic fallout of the relationship between Saki Kashima and Sayaka Kurora was difficult to watch in this match. The explosion, the mega powers exploding had absolutely nothing on this. It was a hard watch. However, as I mentioned before, Saki Kashima did make it very, very clear that she did still love Aya Sakura. So, of course, there is still something there, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, you start off this match with Rana and Aya with the low leg kicks, kind of a Muay Thai style. Bless you, good sir. And then they get the grappling.
Thank you.
Great stuff there. Yuna and Amisori, we always see them. Again, they're another great pairing that were terrific. And then you're absolutely right. Then you're kind of heartbroken, but then kind of, building your heart back up with Sayaka Kurora and Saki Kashima. You touched on a lot of beats here, which I thought was really, really great stuff. Again, Amisori, I think she's like one or two big matches away and one big angle away of somebody you can constantly put in the white and or red belt scene. I think she's just right there. I think she's just right there. I think just when the time is right, they'll pull the trigger on her because she's somebody that we constantly are seeing is getting bigger reactions when she comes out, which is saying something when you're in the same company as a Natsupoi, Soriano, Momo Watanabe, Sai Kamitani, Azumi, so on and so forth. Like Ami Sori is that I think that next wrestler to really break out into that main event scene from kind of the upper mid card. Ronnie Yagami here was great as always, as I mentioned before. She's got great chemistry with Sayaka Kurora, great chemistry with Aya Sakura as well. But ultimately, though, it is Sayaka Kurora missing the spear and then eating the Kishi Kasai, Saki Kashima picking up a big win for her big momentum match coming up with Bozilla, which we'll be talking about in just a moment. 3 3/4 stars for me.
Well, you mentioned it. Let's talk about it. Mi Vida Loca versus Hey Matt, have at it.
Boy, was Bozilla launching Saya Kamitani. We mentioned it before. Go ahead, look like you're going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, some would argue that she's still coming down.
We mentioned it last week, or it might have been the week before. I forget how they were kind of teasing with Bozilla and Starlight Kid. And sometimes when you kind of have these tag matches, you're like, let's kind of maybe go there, see if it sticks, see if there's some interest. I definitely want to see Starlight Kid versus Bozilla. Now I really want to see Bozilla versus Saya Kamitani. And again, folks, this is considered a house show, right? And again, everybody's going to wrestle great because it's Stardom. Saya Kamitani is taking insane bumps. Like she's almost like the TAM matches. It was almost that bad. Like the suplexes off the top rope. Bozilla throws this German suplex that I was like, wowzers. Like, we're really making Bozilla look like, I know you're the biggest star in this company. I know you're the hottest wrestler in all of Japanese wrestling right now. You're the buzzworthy superstar. I don't care. I'm going to run through you because I'm Bozilla. And it just made Bozilla, you're just like, okay, we want to make Bozilla main eventer. I'm all for it because she just dominated Kamitani. And this is the one part where Kamitani goes for that springboard high cross body, and Bozilla just catches her and just launches her there, which I thought was great.
Into the stratosphere. It was great.
Kamitani always bumps all over the place. Not going to take much to make Bozilla look absolutely dominant. What slows Bozilla down is Momo Watanabe. That's another singles match I want to see. Bozilla, they have a lot of stuff in the tank for Bozilla when they're ready to pull the trigger. Obviously, the Saki Kashima match is the match to go to. Again, as great as those exchanges were, which to me was the highlight, very much like the show we just reviewed before. What's the main thing you want to do? You want to sell tickets, start a world subscriptions, because your big championship match coming up at the end of the month is Aoki and Rina versus BMI 2000, Tora, and Ruaka, which is exactly what you did here. Again, Akira's homecoming show. She gets the streamers, and what happens? Hate jumps her. So you're just like, oh, what a bunch of jerks. And Bozilla makes her pay. We mentioned before about is Bozilla going to snap on Akira because she keeps losing matches. Bozilla really came to Akira's aid in this match, almost like the big sister here. Because again, launching her, really great stuff. Ultimately, though, you built up towards the finish, which you kind of figure with all these stars in this match, you're not going to pin Rhea or Aoki because they get the championship match. You're not going to pin your 3 champions and your 5-star winner. And the way Bozilla were just so dominant, you're not going to pin her. So the hometown girl ultimately, though, eats the L when it's Natsuko Tora with the freezer bomb. 4 stars for me, my favorite match from this show. But not only was the match good, Rob, it's the intrigue coming out of it. Again, that tag title match coming up at the end of the month. And the fact that I really want to see Bozilla versus Saya Kamitani, and I really want to see Bozilla versus Momo Watanabe. And I just love seeing how much Akira is progressing at each and every match. You can see each and every match, whether it's a singles, tag, 6-person, 8-person. She's getting a little bit better each and every match. And I just love seeing that. 4 stars for me.
Yeah, I think for one thing, Bozilla proved in Marigold that she is the perfect opponent for your top champion. She had a great match with Utami. She had a great match with Sari, both in Korakuen Hall. I think she'd be a perfect title defense for Saya Kamitani. Again, I sort of voiced my concern that too many losses would hurt Bozilla, especially the character, that dominant character. But I did really enjoy the fact that, okay, I'm annoyed at Akira Kurogane for losing. but nobody else hurts her. I can hurt her, but nobody else can. And it is that sort of big sister mentality. So that was quite nice to see. Again, if Bozilla does get that opportunity at either of Stardom's top two singles titles, she's going to knock it out of the park. She's going to absolutely knock it out of the park. And I cannot wait to see that because, again, the chemistry that she'll have with Starlight Kid, when you look at the Azumi match that she had, which was phenomenal. And again, even the very sort of small snippet, the small sample size we've had here against Saya Kamitani, that's going to be great as well. So very, very quickly before we get on to what is possibly the biggest IYO and Kairi watch we've ever done, serves us right for missing a week. I just want to quickly remind everyone there are 3 shows coming up next week, or this week, should I say. Obviously, one did air today, Stardom in Himeji. We haven't watched it because it was today and we both have work. So that'll be part of next week's episode. We also, as I have already mentioned in the news, we have got New Blood 17 as well. New Blood 25 is coming up on the 17th of October from Osaka. And we have also got Stardom in Toyohashi on Saturday, October 18th. Again, just worth pointing out, no Hanan advertised for these shows, no Azumi advertised for these shows, no Suzu Suzuki advertised for these shows, but we do get the return of Kyoka Katatsu, so that's quite nice. Now, Mr. Turner, also, just putting that out there, main event of Toyohashi, Cosmic Angels versus Hate, Sioriano opposite Saya Kamitani again. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Let's do it. Like
Absolutely.
Nike says.
Why the hell not?
Like Nike's, let's just do this. Yeah.
Right, Matt. It's time, good sir. It's time. We've done our Stardom stuff. Après-vous, as the French say.
What does that mean?
That means after you.
Oh, thank you, good sir. I didn't know that.
There you go.
All right. I like French toast and French fries. Anywho, IYO and Kairi Watch, folks. We got 3 different things to go to. We go to Monday the 6th. Yes, all the way back then, almost in the summer months we were. Monday the 6th. We get a backstage segment with Kairi and Asuka, where Asuka basically tells Kairi, you're wrestling IYO Sky tonight. Kairi's like, I don't want to wrestle her. And then Asuka slaps poor Kairi, getting our first one-on-one singles match between IYO and Kairi in the United States. It was like, oh wow! Of course, the one time we don't do IYO and Kairi watch because I had to go to New York. We get this match. However, sets up for this massive IYO and Kairi watch we're gonna have. Let's go through the beats. The bell rings and IYO dives on Asuka on the outside. I was like,
such a good suicide dive.
I was literally just writing my notes. Next thing you know, IYO was on the outside. I was like, what happened? She just dives right on this onto Asuka, setting up the match. Eventually, the match gets back in the ring. These two know each other by these two, IYO and Kairi. They know each other so well. We get a strike counter back and forth. Kairi hits the spear. IYO then does IYO does a handstand counter out of the Kairi head scissors, which I thought was great. IYO then follows it up with the handstand dropkick, sending Kairi to the floor. IYO then hits the Asai moonsault to the floor, but that of the show, because then Kairi gets the advantage and then hits the Tokyo Slam onto the apron that had the internet abuzz. Folks, I watched this back a few times. Where IYO took it was in a safe place. Plus, she swam out, having her arms block the bump. And of course, IYO wrestled a few times after. So she is A-okay. But again, wow, that looked absolutely crazy. Kairi then does the Tajiri style tarantula onto IYO. And then Kairi follows up with the top rope elbow smash for a 2 count. IYO comes back with a quesadora double stomp and then hits several palm strikes to her friend Juan Kairi. IYO follows it up with a springboard Joshi-style dropkick and then goes for the bullet train. However, Kairi dodges the bullet train, and then Kairi goes off the ropes, but then IYO bipassos her and then hits a slingshot German suplex, which I thought was great. That scores IYO a 2 count. IYO then goes for these Angels wings, but again, Kairi knows IYO really well, and I'm almost positive they've done this spot in Stardom before. Kairi lands on her feet from the Angels wings and then smashes IYO with a sliding D. That scores Kairi a 2 count. Kairi then hits the Tokyo Slam again, and then Kairi goes to the top rope for the insane elbow. However, IYO gets the feet up on the insane elbow. She then hits the bullet train onto Kairi. She pulls Kairi into the middle of the ring. IYO goes for the top rope moonsault, but that dash to Asuka. She gets on the apron. distracting one IYO. That helps Kairi roll up IYO with some help from Asuka. A little cheating there from the Kabuki Warriors as Kairi getting the upset win over one IYO. After the match, the Kabuki Warriors attack IYO with Kairi hitting the cutlass and then the assisted insane elbow. Rob Goodman, we go into Crown Jewel. Boy, howdy. Arguably the greatest women's tag match in the history of WWE. I got asked that question a few times. I can't think of anyone better. I know there was a really great one with IYO and Kairi versus, I think it was Roxanne Perez and Raquel. Regardless, it's just IYO Mania. Again, folks, let me know what you think is the greatest women's tag match in WWE history. This one ranks right up there. Maybe the Jumping Mom Angels versus the Glamour Girls in the very first Royal Rumble, 2 out of 3 falls. That match was great. Anywho, just gonna go through the beats on this one. Again, this one took place 10/1/2025 in Perth, Australia, which again, once I get done reviewing this, we did get some live notes from one of our listeners down under. So we get great back and forth work between the two. Eventually, the Kabuki Warriors, they the Kabuki Warriors jump IYO and Rhea early on in the match. However, IYO even things out with an insane suicide dive to Asuka. Kairi then hits IYO with a top rope elbow smash. We start building some heat onto IYO. One of the things they did in the heat, not for the finish, but in the heat, Kairi hits the Marine Stomp onto IYO. Like they did that in the heat, which I was like, if they're only doing that in the heat, that may be a missed beat, not unless they're going to be doing some crazy stuff for the finish. And they did some crazy stuff for the finish. Some really great stuff here. IYO is able to come back with some great striking exchanges with her and Asuka. That's where this match really picks up. IYO wins the strike exchange, tags in the hometown girl and Rhea Ripley, and the space goes nuts. Rhea runs
absolutely mental.
Yes, in the words of Pat Patterson, absolutely banana, which I believe is our second banana reference this episode, Rob. So.
It is.
Great.
Not enough banana references.
No, no, bananas are really good for you. Where I love this match is like whenever Kairi or Asuka are getting in trouble because they're the more tenured tag team, it's the teamwork that is able to divide and conquer. So really great psychology, excellent stuff there. Eventually, though, IYO hits the Asai moonsault, getting the advantage back for Team Kairi, or Team IYO and Rhea, also known as Rio. We do get some great Asuka strikes with Asuka. Again, they had a great match 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Raw. Check that one out if you haven't done that. Rhea escapes the assisted insane elbow and then hits this insane. I know they call it a razor's edge. It's a running 3. Like she just launches, like just throws. Scott Hall was very gentle with his opponents when he did that. Like she just Takumi Roha throws her and then hits the jumping, basically almost like a version of the Shining Wizard. IYO gets tagged in. The Joshi style drop kick. And then we do see Rhea. She comes back in the ring, is very dominant. She goes by she, I mean, Rhea goes for the big running boot onto Asuka. However, it's Kairi taking the bullet for Asuka. We would see the bruise on Kairi's head because Rhea did not push anything back on there. Rhea hits the riptide onto Kairi, tagging in IYO, letting IYO hit the moonsault, getting the win for her team in Australia. I'm just going to go to my phone real quick for our notes that we had from one of our great listeners down under, my good friend from Ella Dyer, who lives in Australia. She said
Hello,
the match.
Ella Dyer.
Yes, she every time that they're down there, she always gives me a live report. She said the crowd was really into everything, but they got really, really hot during all of the stiff strike exchange with IYO and Asuka, which led to the hot tag for Rhea. So that made sense. And then there was a lot of fun foul chants that happened in this match. I don't know if you saw the post show with Rhea Ripley. Yes, obviously I cannot. Not only can I not say anything, but I watched this match and then the post show, and I was obviously in New York. And I was texting my wife who I'm married to, and I'm like, I can't even text you what was said, what the crowd was saying. That's how somebody, I can't even text you because they said some really, really hurtful stuff. But maybe because Asuka's a very hurtful person. Rob, weird again. 4.5 stars for me. Fantastic. Then we go to our final segment, Monday Night Raw, this past Monday. And again, big ups to our main man, Darren Chatton. Give me all the time cues for this one. Kairi versus Rhea. He texted me this and he said, yeah, they got about 18 minutes. And I said, you mean this segment was 18 minutes in? He's like, no. This match got about 18 minutes. And I was like, wow. Obviously gets set up with another backstage segment where Kairi is just, God bless her. Like she's going to come out of this whole entire thing as like a major, major star because she's poor. Kairi's booked in the middle of this. She shows the big bruise onto Asuka and
Enormous egg.
basically says, I can't wrestle Rhea. Look what she did to me. And then what does Asuka do? Slaps her friend in the face. Again, Asuka's getting major heat on this, and Kairi's getting major babyface sympathy. Kairi and Rhea Ripley. Kairi does the stick and move strategy onto one Rhea. Kairi gets the advantage by chopping Rhea. And I know some people are like, well, that doesn't make sense because Rhea's bigger and stronger. Watch Kairi versus Mako Satomura, and you tell me who hits harder. All right. So Kairi does the chops to Rhea. Rhea eventually comes back using her size and strength with a shoulder tackle and a big suplex. Kairi hits the kip up, head scissors, and a sliding D that sends Rhea to the outside. Kairi then goes for the running form smash onto the apron, but then Rhea just knees Kairi in the face on the way down. Like Kairi is probably just getting her ass kicked in this whole entire feud. Back in the ring we go. Rhea hit a beautiful Northern Light suplex. Awesome stuff there. I thought that was great. Love to see Rhea do that more often. Eventually, the match goes back out to the floor where we have IYO, who accompany Rhea, and Asuka, who accompany Kairi. They get into a little bit of brawl on the outside. Rhea throws Kairi back in the ring. Rhea hits a series of short arm lariats and a big boot to Kairi. That scores Rhea a 2 count. We do see that Rhea blocks the cutlass, and it's this insane headbutt onto Kairi. Rhea then goes for the riptide. However, Kairi escapes the riptide, gets to the apron. We get an apron fight between the two. Rhea misses a spear and goes shoulder first into the post. Kairi then hits an insane elbow off the post to the floor, which I thought was absolutely great. Kairi then goes in the ring. She hits the stunner onto Rhea Ripley for a 2 count. Rhea comes back with that insane razor's edge or running 3 and running knee strike to Kairi, which I thought was great. Rhea goes to the top rope. It looks like Rhea's going to try the top rope riptide. We get a top rope fight between Kairi and Rhea. Kairi wins the top rope fight, hits a marine spike for a 2 count. Then she hits Kairi hits a cutlass and then goes for the insane elbow. However, Rhea blocks the insane elbow and then comes back with another headbutt and a riptide for the 3 count. This match was great. I will say this, Rob. I love me some IYO. She's fantastic. I think Rhea and Kairi was better than IYO and Kairi. That's how, again, they're both great matches. Maybe because my expectations were so much higher. And I think Rhea's great. She's the biggest women's star in all of wrestling. There's no doubt about it. She's a great wrestler, but the fact that all year she's wrestling the IYOs, the Kairis, the Asukas, the Bianca Belair, that Rhea's constantly getting better because she's wrestling the best women's wrestlers in this company. I thought this was really great stuff. And again, obviously, IYO's a massive star. Kairi coming out of this feud with the sympathy and how great her matches have been is going to come out of this as a major, major star. And I cannot wait to see it. And Asuka's just going to keep getting that great heel heat. I'm absolutely loving what they're doing with these 4 women.
Well, as we know, as the Australian fans did say, Asuka is a banker. So again, there we go. We now know her profession on the side. Ladies and gentlemen, that does just about wrap us up on an absolutely monster episode of the Stardom Cast. This serves us right for only doing one show last week and only reviewing New Blood. But what a couple of shows it has been. Obviously, a monster IYO and Kairi Watch as well. A great IYO and Kairi Watch. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for sticking with us. Thank you so much for watching or listening, whichever way you listen to this podcast. We really appreciate it. If you can, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Really does help us out and helps out even more if you could leave us a comment and a 5-star review on the podcast app of your choice. Helps us be exposed to even more people to help spread that good Joshi word. Patreon.com/the Stardom Cast for all of these episodes early and ad free, as well as just a whole host of bonus content on a whole host of different tiers for different price points. Go and check that out. Patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. Find us on social media at the Stardom Cast, apart from on Instagram, Threads, or Blue Sky, where we are on Talk Joshi. You can talk to me on Twitter at @RealRobGoodwin. Don't forget that we will be live Monday, 9 p.m. British Standard Time for Grand Destiny, Monday the 27th of October, not this Monday. Thought I'd point that out. October the 27th for our review of Grand Destiny. So make sure you're there. And come and join us and chill and listen to us talk about what will be an all right match, I imagine, between Mayu and IYO. Matt Turner, good sir. It's been a ride. Sign us off, good sir.
Absolutely. Let's get to the end of the ride, my man. Questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and the Twitter is the easiest, fastest, and best way to get a hold of me. Don't forget to follow our new Twitter handle at TalkJoshi2025. Again, over at the Twitter, or you can shoot me an email. The email address is the StardomCast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fantastic episode of the Stardom Cast. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast because we're all together. Everybody's different. Everybody's special.